Hey guys, welcome back to the Rockford Ordnance. We are here with another episode of Coffee and Kalashnikovs, and we're here to talk about firearms, the firearm world, Second Amendment, reviews, what's going on in the gun world, whatever you got. But most of all, we are here to talk about what you want to talk about. If you put it over in the live chat here, just know that if you go over there, it will say top chat or live chat at the top. If you click live chat, you'll get everything. Top chat, you might not see all the comments. Make sure that if you have any questions, any subjects you want to talk about, anything like that, you put it in there and you'll be good. We'll talk about what you want to talk about. But before we do that, let's everybody, if you are not subscribed, please click the subscribe button and also click the like button there. Give us a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm and gets us boosted up so more people can see our live stream. We've got a regular bunch of people here that hang out on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock Central, and we have a great time. Also know that at the bottom there, you can click on the little dollar sign and basically donate money to the channel. If you like what you see here on the channel, if you like our videos, like our live streams, it's what supports the channel because a lot of stuff gets demonetized, let's face it. So you can give any amount you want. Anything is appreciated, and it always goes right back into the channel. So subscribe, click like, give us a super chat there. With the super chat, we'll get to your questions first and give you a little shout out there too. So what is going on in the gun world? Holy moly. Whew, I think most everybody that pays attention to the gun world saw that major downer that happened this week, and we'll get into that because I think I'd be remiss not to mention it. And let's face it, it affects all of us, especially those of us that are on YouTube. And I'm sorry about my attack chihuahua up there barking away, but he'll quiet down in a minute. Anyhow, so we have been talking about Cerakote here for quite a while and getting everything ready. Well, a little bit of a holdup we had getting our sandblaster finished off, and we finally had the parts come in for that, and I'm going to show them to you here. So a lot of you may be familiar with Cerakote. Maybe you have it on some of your guns. Maybe you have a SIG M17 and it's Cerakoted in FDE or Desert Tan. It's a great finish. It's ultra thin, super wear resistant, holds up incredibly well, corrosion resistant, gives a nice flat sheen or a shinier sheen if that's what you're into. Any color under the sun. You can do graphics, camo jobs. You've all probably seen American flag jobs on a gun or a worn battlefield pickup look, something like that. We do, let's see, off the top of my head here, I've got an OD green here. I've got an OD green that's been lasered with, what does it say on there? It's on the back of the coin. Damn it, I'll come up with it. Anyhow, we've got a flat dark earth AR, another OD green. We like OD green around here in case you haven't noticed. Of course, we've got an M17. Got a lot of stuff. Just black Cerakote looks great. Great way to deal with an arsenal AK if you are one of the unlucky ones whose paint is wearing or bubbling or whatever. No reason not to shoot it with a nice coating of black Cerakote. Looks gorgeous. Anyhow, before you Cerakote, you need to sandblast an item. And for instance, if you're doing a new AR receiver, barrel, handguard, whatever, and it's anodized, you need to get that anodizing down. Not necessarily remove it all, but certainly dull it down real well. It etches the surface, gives that Cerakote something to stick to. Cerakote is a ceramic type of paint, basically. It's a formula that bonds. There's a hardener. It's some pretty high-tech stuff, and there's several different versions. There's even an air cure where you could spray it at home without a ton of equipment and let it cure for several days, and it'll come out okay. But there's no replacement for the original, either C or H series. There's an Elite series. Basically, it comes down to how well do you want it to hold up? How thin do you want it to be? The great thing about it is it's got built-in lubricity, so things run really smooth. Now, although it's super thin, you don't want to necessarily Cerakote the innards of a firearm. A close tolerance firearm, you could have some issues. Just know that going in. So we don't do fire control groups, stuff like that. But started to talk about the sandblasting. That's one of the most important parts. And the easiest way to go about it is get yourself a Harbor Freight sandblaster. If you use all their coupons and sales and all that, you can get one. I don't know what they are now. They're probably a little higher, but 125 to maybe 175, depending what coupons you have and all. It's a great sandblaster right out of the box. It's tedious to build, not that it's hard, just there's a million little nuts and bolts. And once it's together, the shell itself is pretty darn good right out of the box. The door, the grates, everything works good, but it works off a siphon system. So there's a tube that goes down into the media, and airflow causes it to be sucked up the tube. And the problem with that is, think about having a Slurpee from 7-Eleven, right? And you're sucking on the straw, and all of a sudden you pulled everything out around that straw. And although you got this much left in the cup, there's nothing coming through the straw because you sucked everything around it and it's not going back down. Well, that's kind of how this siphon thing works. And it can plug up easy and all kinds of things. So that's its shortcoming. There's a company called Tacoma, the Tacoma company, and they make upgrade kits. This was a guy that was using a Harbor Freight or similar sandblaster and got frustrated and came up with a solution and started a company. It worked so good, all the stuff he did. Their basic setup is called their upgrade kit. And it's really, at the end of the day, all you would need really to have your sandblaster working light years better than the stock one and as good as just about anything out there. But over the years, he's come up with other upgrades to make it even better. Now, that upgrade kit comes in 3 levels. There's a good, better, best. And basically, it comes down to the feed mechanism that we'll get into. Things are just a step up. It's like going from Craftsman to maybe Mac to Snap-on tools, right? I know you Mac guys are mad at me now because I'm saying Snap-on's better, but oh well. Always been a Snap-on guy from the first day I turned wrenches, and I used to do that for a living. Coffee and Kalashnikovs, by the way. We've got our Yeti filled with Dunkin' Donuts hazelnut. Gotta love it. Delicious. You can grab whatever type of beverage you want once in a while, because we do this when I get home and I'm could be a little stressed out. Maybe there's something a little stronger in there, but usually we just go straight coffee. Anyhow, this upgrade kit from Tacoma starts with the mechanism that picks the media up, and that's this valve right here. So they manufacture this. And maybe you've seen some upgrade videos, and there's a lot of people on YouTube that are essentially making this piece, but they're using standard plumbing fixtures. They'll get a plumbing tee, they'll put a plug in the end, and they'll put a section of pipe on here, and they'll adapt an air valve, and that's it. And they work okay. But as you can imagine, with a plumbing fixture, they're rough inside and maybe things don't move through them very well. The inside of this is highly machined and polished, and this powder coat they put on it is absolutely fabulous. Some of the best powder coating I've ever seen. Not that it matters to how it works or its efficiency, but hey, if you're going to do it, why not look good, right? Super nice piece. The threading, if you can see, is great. And how this works is you've got your sandblast cabinet. At the bottom of the cabinet, the sheet metal goes down to a funnel, big funnel about that deep. Normally, what you have at the bottom of that funnel is a little trap door that you can open to dump your media when you're replacing it. Well, what you would normally do with the basic upgrade kit is you would drill a hole in the bottom of that trap door and then get a nipple, like an electrical nipple, and you would screw this on there. Well, since we upgraded, they came with a couple extra pieces. Rather than drill that flap, we got the Tacoma upgraded funnel. So you remove that trap door. You can see the holes here. That screws on the bottom of the funnel, just again making things flow better. Put it, when we talk about media flowing better, put it this way. It's that Harbor Freight sandblaster is called a 40-pound sandblaster because it can hold 40 pounds of media. Well, with this Tacoma company setup, we can run it on as little as 1 cup of media. And we'll show you how. So this screws onto the bottom, and obviously you've got threaded bottom here. Your valve screws onto that. And this is the heart of it again, guys. It screws on there, and this is where the media is going to come out. It's going to end up in there. You can adjust your flow with this valve here and get your media flowing just perfect. There's a plug in the end so you can dump your media for fresh if you like. But talk about saving media. A cup or two of media, 40-pound bag will last you a long, long time. So this is the heart of it. The hose comes off here, goes to your gun, and another hose going to the gun from the compressor. So that's the heart of it. But that upgrade kit comes with a little bit more. Not only does it come with all new hoses, heavier duty, higher flow, work better, and they cut them to length for it. If you have a different machine, let's say you have an Eastwood, they'll custom make it for that even. The other part that comes with it is a pressure regulator and a gauge. Now, when you upgrade good, better, best, you basically get bigger and higher quality gauges. Not that I need one this big, but my eyes have gone to crap, and it's kind of nice to be able to look down and see that giant gauge. They even put the fittings in at certain angles because where you mount it on the leg out of the way, that's how these need to be. So you can regulate your pressure. You can keep an eye on it here. That comes with the upgrade kit. Another big piece of the puzzle, it comes with a trigger spray gun, right? That feeds off the siphon. That's all well and good. But when you're working for a long time, excuse me, guys, somebody just feels the need to keep texting me. Anyhow, it comes with a trigger gun. That's great. But when you're working on big projects, you might be doing it for a while. It tires your hand out. It really does. And you're kind of in a weird angle sometimes, depending how tall you are, and it's just uncomfortable. So with the upgrade kit, they give you a new gun. Instead of the trigger style gun, here is your gun. One from the compressor and one from the media, or vice versa. You can hold it however you want, but usually the best way to do it is this, much less tiring. Replaceable porcelain tips. Again, super polished inside. Everything super powder coat job they did on it. Quality brass fittings. The ceramic nozzles are way better than what comes with the Harbor Freight, and just a really nice piece. You say, well, how are you going to control the air? There's no trigger. The last piece of the upgrade kit is this. And again, good, better, best. This is the best. Here is the foot pedal that comes with it. So you control it with a foot pedal. You can, adjust the amount of flow with the variable pedal. There's fittings already on there, barb fittings. You don't need any clamps. And this thing is heavy. I bet it weighs 5-6 pounds. Nice rubber feet on the bottom. Again, all steel, all of this. Welded, super, super nice. And you operate it with your foot. Your hand gets much less fatigued, and the whole setup works out great. Super, super system. It took a while. The upgrade kits are very popular, and they were, but one of the parts backed it up a couple of weeks, but shipping was great. They got it to me, no problems. I think the basic kit, if you wanted to get just their base kit, is probably around $400. I think this one might be 5 or 6, and then a few other options we got that he's made. We hook a shop vac to it to get the dust out. Otherwise, you can't see a damn thing. And this is a valve that goes on the back. I can adjust the vacuum pressure in it so you can see something. If you don't have a vacuum hooked up, you won't see anything. 5 seconds of blasting and you're blind. We upgraded the lights in it. I have 4,500 or 45,000, 4,500, I think, lumens in there, all LED. I did this company, the Tacoma company, offers a glass upgrade kit for the glass viewing window. It comes from Harbor Freight with these Mylar protectors that go on the glass to shield it. Otherwise, it gets frosted. They're hard to get on and off, so they make a thumb screw kit. We made our own, and I'll show it to you. It's really nice. And we actually have 2 pieces of glass now sandwiched. One is sacrificial. We toss it and put a new one in. I get 3 pieces. You buy one sheet at Lowe's, they cut it for you, and you get just the size you need, 3 pieces out of one. So about $18 for 3 pieces. That'll last you quite a while. So you got a shop vac, you hook this in. We got a dust deputy. I'm going to do a whole video on it and show you. The other thing is you change the direction of flow. That Harbor Freight has the air flowing a certain way in there. It's the wrong way. So the Tacoma company sells a few things to change that. This is a sheet metal piece that they sell that goes over the normal port. And instead of sucking the air from up high in it, it sucks it down here, and it kind of cross vents. On the other side, you use the existing plate like that, but there's no cap on that one. So this caps it, goes in place. And then you get all your grommets for the hoses. These are, those are to put the vacuum adjustment valve on. And then they even sell a plug kit to plug the factory holes in it. And that's it. That's about, I don't know, $800 worth of stuff all total. So at the end of the day, with lighting and other stuff, let's see, I get about $1,000 in it maybe. But that is, oh yeah, there's a cuff kit for the door, because it's an injection molded door and there's holes. Sand builds up when you open the door. Sand goes everywhere. They sold me a kit that covers all that. And there's some cuff kits to make everything flow down better. All total $890, something like that, with every upgrade I could possibly do. So I roughly got about $1,000 in the thing, and it operates as well as a $4,000 or $5,000 sandblaster. And we are going to bring you the video. Not going to bore you with a video of putting it all together, because why don't we have any chat going here? Is the chat working? Huh. I just noticed that. Let's see. Let me try and type something. Anybody? Oh, there. Now I got chat. Oh, wait. Let's see what it says here. Chat disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. Unable to connect chat. Please try again later. Huh. So I assume you guys are trying to chat and nothing's coming through, huh? Let's see if we can do anything about. Oh, there they are. Boom. It just showed up. I had no chat there. I'm thinking, boy, I'm boring the shit out of these guys. But yeah, I hope you like that. I know not everybody's into it, but you're going to see some really unique pieces coming to the channel. And while I've done a lot of basic Cerakoting, we haven't done a lot of stencil type stuff. And I really, really want to do a like a forest camo, maybe a tiger stripe, some other stuff. We'll see. We're going to mess around and play around and see what we can do. I've had questions from people that want to send me firearms and have me do a video on the channel and do their gun. Guys, I cannot do that, unfortunately. I would love to do it. And to show them on the channel, I'd be more than happy to do someone's firearm for free. But I can't, because if you're going to give me a gun to show and do, it's essentially transferring it to me, and you need your FFL, at least a gunsmithing FFL. I don't know if somebody stayed at the shop with their firearm and we did it, if that would be legal or not. I would have to find out, because I'm certainly not going to risk anything that would jeopardize my Second Amendment rights. Yeah. It's when you make yourself public like this, you have to be extraordinarily careful, especially considering what's been going on lately. And this, what we're talking about there is the Matt Hoover case with CRS Firearms. Really, really a sad situation, and one that everyone should be concerned with. And there's a few people on the other side of the argument that don't quite see it the same way that most people do, or let's say at least YouTubers do. But it has a lot of ramifications outside of the firearm world. It could have ramifications in almost any industry or any type of items, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But we certainly feel for Matt and his family, especially his wife and his beautiful kids. Those of us that have kids, hold on, guys, 1 second. Hey, I'm doing a live stream, so I got to let you go. Okay? I'm in the middle. Say hi. Oh, hold on. Hold on. I screwed up. You guys want to say hi to Mrs. Rock? All right, honey, say hi.
Hello from the free state of Tennessee.
Everything going well there in the free state of Tennessee? God, I wish I was there right now.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. She's down in Tennessee. Another little surprise we got coming. But yeah, we've been doing a little traveling, and oh man, when I say busy, guys, you have no idea. But in the end, you're going to see some really neat stuff, and we are unencumbering ourselves, and yeah, it's going to be great. And just more liberty, more liberty, more liberty, more liberty. That's what we're talking about. Anyhow, she's a go-getter. She gets down there, gets the job done. And we'll talk about that in a little bit too. Yeah, Matt Hoover. So wife, 2 little kids. If any of you are like me, I raised 3 children. I know how hard it is. I think back to those days and I think, how did we ever get by? 3 kids and 3 hungry mouths to feed and clothe, and they're growing like weeds and they eat more and more every day, and trying to keep everything afloat and bills paid. It ain't easy. I wouldn't want to do it today. And it can certainly cut into your firearm budget, right? Yeah, it's unfortunate what happened, and we're going to get into that. We've got our blade of the week. I actually got 3 blades out today, and funny thing is, none of them are tactical really, but they're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And one of them is one of my small favorites that just like having it in my hand. If you're like most gun guys, and let's take a poll here. Maybe you guys can answer here. When you guys are relaxing in the evening, watching TV, how many of you have a firearm in your hand? Just maybe you're cleaning it. Maybe you're just dry firing, or I don't know, trigger pulling, whatever, LARPing around the house, whatever, or just admiring, something to keep your hands busy. Well, I do that with, it could be a firearm, could be a knife, whatever. I always say, knives, firearms, rifles, pistols, down to the most mundane, everyday firearm. It's like jewelry for men. That's how I see it. I see the combination of these raw natural materials, whether it's steel, aluminum, wood, leather, all these things come together through the hands of craftsmen that just make it all meld together and just be beautiful, a work of art. I like firearms and knives more so for the appreciation of the form and function and how intricate they are, and how beautifully craftsmen take these mediums and turn them into these perfectly machined items that are either blued or cerakoted or parkerized, and the wood is finely finished, or whatever, roughly finished. Doesn't matter. I just find it amazing. Even leather, they can handcraft it into a handle on a knife or a sling or whatever. I see the appreciation in art. I find it absolutely amazing that for as rough as human beings can be, we can master the art of taking a chunk of metal and polishing it to a mirror, and just everything's symmetrical and perfect. And I love that. And I love taking mediums like that and turning them perfect, or better yet, returning them to that perfect state. And if something's been used or maybe even abused or whatever, I love the restoration process. And that's what got me into cerakoting and a lot of other stuff, wood finishing, that type of thing. So I'm sure a ton of you appreciate it for the same reasons. So I'll show you. I can't resist. We'll do the first blade of the week here. And I think you guys have seen this before. One of my favorite knife brands is K-Bar. It's a classic. It's a working man's knife. It's served us in several wars and all kinds of military actions. But this one isn't military. It's a little K-Bar with the leather stacked handle, an aluminum butt pommel, the classic red, white, and black stripe. I think that's micarta or some kind of plastic in there. The brass guard, and just a nice little drop point with a leather sheath that smells so good to this day. I like to keep it in a box so when I open it, that smell comes out. It's like cologne, right? Cologne and jewelry for men. Anyhow, look at that knife. it doesn't show all that well. I don't know. It's just beautifully finished. The blade is highly polished to a mirror. The leather is sanded and then polished uh, to absolute perfection. These are little leather. For those of you that aren't into knives, a leather stacked handle is just that. Think of these as leather washers, and they stack them on each other, and then they shape them by sanding or with a wheel, and then they polish them and seal them, and they're just gorgeous. You see the different colors and textures in there. It really does not do it justice here in this lighting. Pretty sharp from the factory for a K-bar, but just a small little fixed blade, something that hangs real nice on your belt every day. Oh, about 7 inches, I don't know, somewhere in there. And what I use it for, this is always on my side when I go bird hunting. It's great for cleaning pheasants, that type of thing. Just a nice little all-around knife. Fishing as a utility knife. I have a similarly finished fillet knife too, but I love it. Very small in the hand. You're not going to get that great a grip on it because it's so small, but it's highly maneuverable, and you can work boning something, or not bad for skinning if you had to, a small animal, squirrel, something like that. Small game. Just a great knife, and I got it all fingerprinted up. But this knife gets used, but I take care of my stuff. I always watch out for my equipment. Some guys just bang stuff around, throw it in the back of a truck. While I have working items, this is a working item, I just can't do that. I take very good care of my things. They're sharpened after every use, and I like to keep them nice. Last generations, right? Great heirloom type of piece, although this is nothing special. It's not a special edition, nothing. I don't remember what it cost me, maybe 40 to 60 bucks, somewhere in there. Maybe less now, who knows? But yeah, just a neat little knife, and they finish so well. They do a fabulous job. The other leather stacked handle I have is a standard K-bar GI issue leather stacked handle fighting knife, or standard issue K-bar, and it was a Marine version. It had the Marine crest and all, USMC on the sheath. It was my son's, and I gave it to his best friend that he grew up with, who is still serving in the Marines. I gave it to him. I thought, you know what? He deserves it. My son was in the Army, not the Marines. He was going to go Marines with him, ended up going Army because he wanted a different job. But so I figured I'd give it to him, and he appreciates it. And he can think of my son and his friend every time he looks at it, wears it, uses it, whatever. But that's the full-size K-bar fighting knife. Actually, I may have a K-bar right here. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. Where the heck is my K-bar? Ah, here it is. Hold on, guys. 1 sec. So it's basically a version of this one, except with the leather stacked handle. This has Craton handle, and it has the brown sheath with the USMC, but this is a Craton or rubberized handle, but essentially same knife except the leather stacked handle. Beautiful knife. And yeah, by the way, when you buy these, you can get them straight blade or with the serrated section here, if you can see that. But yeah, love K-bars. I got a smaller version of this one, a bigger version of this one. Love them. Anyhow, there's one blade of the week. We'll bring you some more. Let's get to the chat real quick here and see what's going on. Who was first in today? I think. Look at this. We got an upset. we have an upset, ladies and gentlemen. It's not Joe. It's not Chase. Gosh darn. Look at that. MZ. First in. That's a first, isn't it? Well, good to have you. He says, hello, all. Chase is here. Good to see you, Chase. Always like it when Chase is in the chat. And he's congratulating MZ on being first and says, hey, Rock, Joe's here. Good to see you, Joe. Hope everything's going well. I haven't been able to catch your channel lately. I don't know why. I haven't. I think I've seen it in the feed a couple times, but not as much as I usually do. It's how that algorithm works, right? Sometimes they slide in under the radar. Anyhow, speaking of channels and subscribers and all that good stuff, I was pretty impressed. Well, I guess impressed isn't really the word. I was shocked, I guess. I had someone subscribe to the channel on your desktop in YouTube Studio, and it's where YouTubers go to get all our statistics and all that. I see who subscribes to me, and it'll put like a top 4 of recent subscribers based off how many subscribers they have. So essentially they're showing you other people with other channels that have subscribed to you. And I couldn't believe it. John Crump subscribed to lowly old Rockford Ordnance. For those of you that don't know who John Crump is, there's, in my opinion, 2 or 3 of the absolute best Second Amendment channels. One being Guns and Gadgets. Jared's just an awesome guy. If you want to keep up with Second Amendment news, and when I say keep up, he can put out as many as 4 videos a day, depending on what's going on. And there is so much going on every day that, you know, he could probably do 6 or 7 videos a day, but there's only so much time in the day. He reports on national gun rule legislation, not just on a federal level, but a state-by-state level too. So although he lives on the East Coast, I think he's a Massachusetts resident, recently relocated to Tennessee. He reports on the goings on in all 50 states all over the country. He travels all around, does some phenomenal videos, and reports on stuff you would not even know about had you not listened to his channel. And of course, we all sort of like to check the goings on in our own state, right? Our own backyard or area of operation. And we kind of forget sometimes about the rest of the country, right? Unless it's a federal law affecting everyone. You know, we live in Minnesota, that's certainly more important than what's going on in Louisiana or something like that. But he reports on it all. He gives you ways to help the fight in those other states. And I hope you do it, because when something comes to your state, you certainly want other people helping you out and having your back too, like Michigan. Michigan's got their hands full right now. Washington State, they are passing the most stringent assault weapon ban ever put on the books. Not just assault weapons, of course, it flows out into other things. They're banning essentially everything. They might as well just outlaw guns. It's unbelievable what's happening to this country. There have been more lawsuits filed, not lawsuits. There have been more anti-gun bills filed between January 1st and it's even more now. January 1st and about March, the early March, had over 70 different pieces of legislation on a federal level put into Congress. And that is more than the previous 250 years combined. Think about that. You had more anti-gun legislation introduced in 2.5 months than you have the entire history of this country. So do you think there's a push on to grab the guns, to take them? They're not coming after them. We're not coming after your guns. You can have your hunting shotgun. You can have all that stuff. It's all about hunting, deer hunting, you know. Has nothing to do with hunting. Zero to do with hunting. And the Constitution does not give us the right to bear arms. It merely affirms it. Our right is God-given. You have the God-given right to protect yourself and your family. And when I say protect, I think too many people use that term and that line of thought or reasoning when it comes to explaining the Second Amendment. At the end of the day, I don't consider protecting me or my family from intruders, bad people, that type of thing. Yeah, it's great. You should protect your family. I fully, wholeheartedly believe that we should center it all on what it was meant to do, and that is to protect us from a tyrannical government or a government out of control. Matter of fact, the Second Amendment is not a suggestion, but a duty to each and every one of you. The Constitution says that should a tyrannical government come to power who is taking away the citizens' rights and infringing not only the Second Amendment, but the right to speech, the right to liberty, that you should do something about it. And that's what it's there for. People say, oh, well, what? Your government's going to rise up and you're going to have this. Well, it happens every day, every year, all around the world. There's government coups, there's tyrannical takeovers, there's rights being taken away, there's genocide, there's all these things. What's the saying? I think it's something like, with absolute power comes what? Absolute power brings absolute control, something like that. I forget. But it happens all the time. And because we live in the mighty USA, we just somehow think it can't happen. There's bad people everywhere. And, people are motivated by different things. And you probably see it every day at work. You've got people motivated by money, people motivated by position, title, whatever the case may be. But you should always kind of fear that person that's not motivated by money. Money is not a bad thing, right? Being motivated to make money is like being motivated to give your family security, right? It keeps a roof over their head and keeps everybody fed and clothed. And that's our job, guys, is to be that security net for our families. At the end of the day, the person that you need to fear is the one that's not motivated by money, but motivated by power, that greed for power. That's who you need to fear, because those people exist, and it's all about the power, the control that power gives. And I don't know that everyone that ends up like that knows it going in, or is chasing that control or power. I think it's a product of, sure, I guess there's pure evil in the world, but I think this whole thing we're fighting is definitely a battle between good and evil. Absolutely. It's a battle of true goodness and true evil. And what we're seeing today is them starting to bump heads. Not starting, they're pretty well down the path at this point. Anyhow, that's what your Second Amendment is there for. The founders, in their infinite wisdom, when you read the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and think of the minds it took to lay this all out the way they did, and then put it into words so eloquently. It's absolutely amazing to read. It makes you proud to be an American, to know that we put men in place with that knowledge and that intellect to start this great experiment, right? And they risked so much to do it, way more than you or I. But then again, do you risk anything more than I do, or than Thomas Jefferson did, or at that time General Washington? I don't know. These were, for the most part, pretty wealthy men. They had land, they had property, they had families, they had wealth, and they risked it all. Even speaking of it could have gotten them killed, let alone signing a Declaration of Independence. That was death on the spot. If they weren't shot, they were hung, firing squad, whatever. They were captured, and they went after him too, several times. Hancock barely got away a few times. They risked it all. They would have taken everything: their land, their animals, their possessions, their wives, their children slaughtered, everything. They risked everything for this idea. And guess what? It was over about 3 cents worth of tax. Yeah, I don't know if it was on a pound of tea or whatever, but essentially 3 cents worth of tax. And they did they founded this country because of 3 cents worth of tax. Yeah, other things, more infringements. But imagine if they endured what we're enduring today, not just on the firearm front, but freedom of speech. It's certainly suppressed, whether it's by government or social media companies or different actors, foreign powers, etc. Imagine if they could see what was going on in the halls of Congress right now. I wonder if there'd be a Declaration of Independence, how it would go down. What do you think? That'd be pretty interesting, wouldn't it? I often wonder what they would say, what they would do. But yeah, what they wrote is absolutely amazing when you think about it. They had the plan for so many different scenarios, and they covered it so well in not a lot of writing, really. And most hold true today, and still encompass everything that goes on with government and citizenry and the country and trade and all these things. They had to develop a monetary system and all this stuff, trade agreements and treaties, and unbelievable. Really is unbelievable. And then one of the most amazing things, and we'll get back to guns, so don't go away. I don't want to bore some of you. I'm boring, I know, but what I find truly amazing is one man in particular. And I love watching documentaries about him, and that's George Washington. He's one of the only men, maybe he is the only man in history to raise an army, march that army, fight multiple battles and a war, and fight off the greatest superpower of its time. The equivalent of what that man did and that army did would be, let's see, I know people are going to say, well, Ukraine against Russia. No, 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 no. More like a small third world country, South America, Africa, maybe, against the US today. It literally was. They had a monstrous navy, the greatest navy in the world, a monstrous, well-trained army that had fought all over the world. And they came here, and yeah, a bunch of farmers with pitchforks. And we put it together with a little help from the French. But at the end of the day, what he did was absolutely amazing. Not only did he win independence for this country and beat that superpower, and when you do that in those days as a general, the leader of that army, you're what? You're the king. You're the president. You're the leader. You control the army. You control the power. It's yours. Yeah. How would they address you? I don't know. Your eminence, whatever. What did he do? He gave that power back. He relinquished his sword to Congress and walked away. Didn't want anything to do with government. Didn't want to be the president. He did his job. He did what he thought was right and walked away from it. Absolutely amazing. And that's why I find that man just truly incredible. And the more you read, the more you watch, the more you learn about him. It's absolutely amazing. Hold on, guys. I got to shut this dog up 1 second. Sorry about that. I hope you didn't hear that on the microphone. Probably did no good anyways. My God, they're barking up a storm up there. Anyhow, yeah, I find that amazing. So really, really neat to think about. But yeah, there's so many infringements right now, and it's happening on the state level, federal level, everything. Let's get back to the comments here, see what you guys want to talk about, but then we're going to jump into CRS here real quick. Let's see what's going on. So Joe, Chase, Pixel Face Killa is in here. Been a while. How are you? Very good. I'm doing very well. Joe Morgan, so far so good. Chase Deadly, sober but been productive day. Went from fighting with my Texas woman online and Joe. Ross 77, how are you, sir? Good to see you in here. Another good man from Michigan, fighting a good fight over there with our good buddy at 2A EDU. I said there's top 3 channels or 4 2A channels, and I mentioned Jared. There's the Armed Attorneys. That's a great channel if you want to get their perspective. And I forgot who I was going to say the other one was, but then there's also our good friend at 2A EDU. Great channel, 2A, Second Amendment, EDU, Education. He started out, his channel was, I think, what was it, Glock Shooter 44 or something. I go way back with him. He started live streaming like this, and we'd have 10, 15, 20 people in there, or maybe less. I mean, like 8, 10 people. Then it got to 20 and 40, and it just kept going. And he changed his name of his channel to 2A EDU. He found his niche, and he loved reporting on it. He loved taking action. Come here, Magsy. Come here. Come on. He loved reporting on it and working to help people, other Second Amendment groups, organizations fight back. And he's got a great channel. Go over and check it out. He's what got me started doing these live streams. And while I thought it would be far more, or there'd be much more growth than we've seen, I kind of topped out. And he gets hundreds, if not, maybe he's broken 1,000 by now. But he's got great coverage of not only the Second Amendment, but gun reviews as well. He's an AK guy of sorts. He doesn't outwardly proclaim it, But, you know, a lot of guys come on here and go, oh, the Kalashnikov God or whatever toward me, or the Kalashnikov King or this and that. Let me tell you something. 2A EDU has 10 times the beautiful Kalashnikovs that I have, and he has much more rare kits and assembled stuff than I have. I can't even I could never get to his level, I don't think, at this day and age. He probably started a bit before me or about the same time, but was probably a little better in what he bought as far as AKs go. I wish I hadn't missed out on some of the stuff, and I had the opportunity, just different things. I've got neat stuff, don't get me wrong, but he's got, by no means he should hold a title of an AK guy. He's right up there with the best of us. But he'll review stuff like Tauruses, loves his Tauruses, all kinds of cool stuff. All milsurp, tons of milsurp. Really good channel. So go check him out over there. Great channel. Let's see. I don't know what's with these dogs tonight. A lot of you regulars probably didn't even know I had dogs, and now tonight they're going nuts. That's because their mama's not home. Squeaky Coolers here. Hello, all. Out at the moment, but headed home and getting on board here. Always enjoying this, Chris. We'll be on with y'all very soon. Well, good. Hurry up. Let's see. Pixel Face. I love Dunkin' coffee. It's just damn tasty, isn't it? It's just, it's good without being that burnt Starbucks crap that you pay way too much money for and all that. It's just good stuff. Great group of guys and gals here, says Squeaky. Yes, it is. Stuart, spend hours on a scat blast every day. Foot pedal is my friend. So he's sandblasting as part of his job or his job, and he'll tell you, is it Stuart? Yeah, Stuart, I'm sure will tell you that, yeah, your hand would fall off in short order. The foot pedal is the greatest thing ever. And I'm sure he's working on real equipment. Let's see. Oh, who else is in here? Gabriel Budish III. Howdy, y'all. Good to see you, man. Just got here looking like Rock was holding a yellow bong. Oh, this thing? I was thinking the other. Yeah. What else could you could do a beer bong with this? I guess maybe. Huh? Just whoosh. Yep, good old college days, huh? Anyhow, yeah, good equipment. You guys, if you want stuff for sandblasting, go to the Tacoma company. They don't pay me anything. They didn't give me that stuff. I bought it. I researched it like crazy. I've been researching this for a couple of years now. And, you know, it's hard to buy stuff like that when there's so many gun deals, rifle deals that are out there that you got to grab. And it's funny, my wife mentions it all the time. How many guns can you have? And this and that. What do you need another one for? And or it'll be like, I'm frantic, like, oh, I got to grab this. I got to get it. Why you got to get it now? Just wait. She doesn't understand, and a lot of newer people to the firearm thing don't understand that when certain items, whether they usually in the surplus side of things, but even on the or import side of things, or maybe special edition stuff, things like that, when they come in and they're available, if you want one, you better grab it and grab it now, because they come in and they're gone forever. When it comes to surplus and things like that. There's stuff that if I hadn't have clicked or grabbed or ran down to the shop at that moment or day, I wouldn't have one. And anytime that happens, guess what else happens? Price goes through the roof. I'm sure anybody that's got a decent collection and has maybe grabbed a few different surplus items or whatever the case may be, I don't know what your records are, but I've seen 500% appreciations in a week. I mean, crazy stuff. Crazy. That's everything now. Everything. And it's not just inflation. That just kind of helped, I guess, hindered in acquiring, but helped as far as boosting the values. But they do that um, without inflation. And yeah, you can see, we've all done it, probably grabbed something when it first hit the market and it just exploded, and all of a sudden, oops, there were tons of these things. Where'd they all go? They all get snapped up and they're gone, because when they get imported or they get found in an arsenal somewhere, who knows, Russia, Nepal, this, that, the other, and the importer brings them in, there's a limited finite number. Usually they could be 20 years old, 50 years old, 100 years old, 150 years old. And there's only so many of them. And then there's dealing with the importation and the ATF rules and all of that stuff. So it's not easy to get a lot of these things in. And when they do, you better grab one. That's my advice to any of you youngins or people just starting out collecting, is if you see something and you think, that's an important piece, right? That's something important to history, or maybe changes in firearms, or this country, or whatever it is, whatever niche you found in the collecting world, grab it, because it will be gone and you will be kicking yourself. And if you can find one, it'll be double or 3 times or 5 times or 10 times the cost. Who would have ever thought that a $250 Chinese AK would today be worth $7,000 or $8,000, or, and that's over, let's see, from the early 80s to now. But let's take something more recent, like a Vepr, where I don't want to say it wrong, and Veprs seem like they were here yesterday, but it's been a long time already. And I'm trying to think, between the folded and the fixed stock Veprs, the FM Veprs, that is. Basically an AK, for those folks that don't know much about AKs. I'm trying to think, I think they were like $1,200 for the folder and just under $1,000 for the fixed stock. And now, if you want to find one, if you find one new in the box, I think the minimum you can get out of that rifle is probably $4,500. Easily $4,500 you could get for one, maybe more than that. Anybody seen one go lately? And those were $800 to $1,200 guns. Look at some of the arsenals. Look at what SKSs did. You could buy barrels full of them at the local hardware store or local gun shop. They'd stick them all in barrels and sell them for $69 to $99 a piece. And now you can't touch a Russian one for under $600 or $700. Chinese are probably in the same zone, and even the Yugoslavian ones are over $500. I used to have a rule when I first started collecting AKs, that the max I would spend was $500. And I collected so many AKs and kept them under 500, oftentimes as little as $299. And kits were under $100 for some really nice kits. Now, 500, you can't. Can you buy an AK for 500 now? I don't think so. Not even a U.S. made Palmetto State, I don't think you can get for $500. Kits are hard to find for $500. Unassembled, demilled kits. I'd say your average price of an AK now, average, let's say, what's out there new, between, let's say, Wassers, Zastavas, arsenals and Polish guns. The average is probably what, 12 to 1500, somewhere in there, right? 1200, let's say. I think that's a good medium. $299 Wassers are now 900, probably 900. Yugos that I was paying 400 to 500 for are now what, about 1,000, right, for Zastava, and up. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. What's gotten cheaper? ARs. It is the time of the AR rifle. It's in its heyday right now. The Armalite rifle, the AR-15, has come into its own. Used to be, well, it's like everything else in this, what I call upside down clown world. It used to be that AKs were the poor man prepper rifle. Those Mosin Nagants, that kind of stuff, all dirt cheap. That's what you bought. Everyone kind of went, ugh, what's he buying that for, right? And the ARs were expensive, man. Expensive. Didn't matter what brand it was at that time. Could be Colt, could be, what's Bushmaster, could be whatever. They were expensive, 4, 5, 6 times the price of an AK, right? And now look, you can buy or build an AR for $400. I mean, it's crazy, and a perfectly serviceable quality rifle. Maybe not a LaRue or whatever, Colt, whatever brand you want to put out there, but certainly get the job done, right? Everything is completely flipped. Now ARs, the poor man's rifle, and the AKs are the rich man's rifle. Strange how things work, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. I know one thing, I'm just super glad that I got into the AK platform when I did, because if I had to do it now, I couldn't do it. Could not take care of a family, pay the mortgage, all the bills, this and that, and continue to acquire those rifles. Heck, it was hard back then, squeaking pennies and a 20 here and 10 there to buy a rifle every now and then. Yeah, couldn't do it. Couldn't do it right now at the prices. I mean, nice stuff now is over $2,000, $4,000, $6,000. When everything was between $300 and $1,000 at the high end, craziness. I feel bad for young people just getting into it. And I got into it sort of by accident. I got into Russian firearms and the evolution of them. And why? Because they were cheap. Couldn't afford to collect. I couldn't be an HK collector or a Colt collector or anything like that. It was beyond my means. And I walked into, you guys have heard it a million times, walked into a local sporting goods store to get some shoes or something for one of the kids. And me and my son were walking past the rifle counter, and I saw this old wooden thing on the rack for $69. And it was a Russian Mosin Nagant, 1891. It was the longest rifle in service ever, I believe, and certainly the oldest cartridge still serving today. Bolt action Russian World War I rifle. Fought in World War II too. Vietnam, they used them. Yeah, that got me into it. Mosin Nagant, that led to the SKS, and that led to the AK, and then we branched out into Tokharovs and Makarovs, and I just liked it. And they were all affordable, all super affordable. And now it's the exact opposite. Even a Makarov that was $99 is now $600. It's crazy how it goes, but I'm glad I got into it when I did. And I'm sure you all have stories the same. in whatever you choose to collect. All I'm going to tell you is if you are collecting them and they come in and you see one and you want one, grab it right then and there, because the price just continues to go. They go away as far as availability. And heck, they might even ban them, right? Just like Chinese AKs banned, Russian AKs banned. What else? Lots. They were cheap to shoot too, right? You could get back in the day 1,000-round crate of Chinese copper washed 7.62 by 39. You could get a crate for under $100. There was a shop by us that actually sold my father and his partner on the police force matching Chinese AK-47 Bakelite side folders and a crate of Norinco ammo was thrown in for free. $2.99 for the Bakelite side folder, maybe $3.50. I got to look at the receipt. And a crate of Norinco yellow box ammo for, I think it was $2.99. And what's that rifle worth today? Oh my God. Even the ammo is collectible now, right? When I started shooting Russian guns, the Mosin Nagants, all there was by us was Brown Bear, Russian steel case ammo. And you could get a box of 7.62 by 54. That's all I could afford then. Individual boxes, not a crate, And those were $4.99, I think. And then I graduated. I got it sitting right here, a big green wooden crate of, I think it's Czech silver tip, 7.62 by 51R Mosin Nagant, super accurate ammo. And I think I paid at a gun show for that crate around $100, I think, somewhere. A couple of years ago, just prior to COVID, I was buying Golden Tiger 7.62 by 39 for $160 1,000 delivered. Send 10 cases. Let's go. And shoot all you wanted all day long. Go to the range and burn through 2,000 rounds like nothing. Now, you can go buy some 308. Depending on what you buy, 10 boxes, 5 boxes could be as much as 5 boxes could be as much as a 1,000-round crate of Russian ammo was. That's why you got into them. You were either limited by your means, or you were a young person getting into them, and you could get yourself a Mosin Nagant, an SKS, and Mosin Nagant, a Yugoslavian SKS, and a Wasser. Let me think here. 170 and $470. You could get yourself a Wasser AK-47, a Yugoslavian SKS, and a Mosin Nagant rifle for $470. 3 quality rifles for $470. And let's see, if you had $1,000, 3,000 rounds of ammo. So those 3 rifles and 1,000 rounds for each rifle for under $1,000, maybe $850, $900, somewhere in there. God, I wish those days were still around. We used to just go to range and just burn it down. I mean, man, shoot, train. It was easy to get good. You didn't mind just burning up, and you didn't have to pick up all that brass. God, Now I got to save every brass just so I can shoot, right? Anyhow, let's see. Gabriel Buddhist III, he's talking to Joe about the yellow bong. Now it jumped on me. You guys, I got to catch up in these comments here. Let's see. Joe's here still. A tractor channel I follow had issues today as well. Oh, with the chat when that is working fine now. I hope all you guys can see everything okay. I think it's running great. That's because my wife's not here streaming stuff. It's actually working, right? I wish she was here. I miss her. Speaking of, Rock got a tractor delivered last Friday. Time for land maintenance. Woohoo! Speaking of that, man, I don't know if I told you, but our deal kind of fell through on the land we were looking at. And I'm looking at all kinds of properties all over. And it's hard. It's super hard. You go on Zillow or Realtor.com and you look for acreage. And I wanted to be around 30 acres or so. Certainly more than 10 to 30, let's say. And very, very, you think there'd be a ton of properties here in Wisconsin, and up north there's more, but down south where I need to be, it's just a handful of stuff. And they snap them up that quick. Half are under contract, this and that. And you try to find something nice with some woods, some tillable land. Even my wife's into it now. She realizes there's, it may not be, she'll never think it's the sky's falling like I do, but she certainly sees that there's some predicaments out there in the world. And at least if you're going to buy a home or a property, at least you might as well buy one that can be productive for you should you need it. And that meaning some woods where you have a renewable source of wood for heating, for building, for whatever, some ground you can grow crops or maybe lease out a bigger portion of it to a farmer and have a nice garden, have animals. Speaking of that, our chickens are doing wonderful. They're getting huge, and I'm still working on the coop. I started one that was huge. I mean, huge. We were building a big one with a porch, and you can walk in, and a storage room, and then the coop, and a 24-foot run. And then the house sold, and I thought, how am I going to get this to the new property? So I stopped building that and started building a temporary one, which was going to be nice and small and compact, and ended up sort of medium big and uncompact. But it's almost finished. I got the roof on it, and it's got an electric door with a sensor, lets them out in the morning and shuts the door behind them when they go in to roost at night. Window, I got to put the back wall on. The only reason I saved that for last is I got to cut out for the window and for the laying box, the roost, not roost, the what do you call it? I guess the nesting box. And that's it. I did a corrugated roof on it, window on one side, and we have a cheap fencing, came in a box. It's like a run in a box that I can attach to the one side. We got 10 chickens, barred rocks, and blue Americanas and French Morans or something. And they're all cool and fun. We've had chickens before. We had barred rocks before, and then we had golden Wyandottes, silver Wyandottes, something like that. I think I'm saying it wrong. Wyandotte's like Michigan. I know Wyandotte from Michigan. For you Michigan guys out there, it all comes back. I spent a lot of time in Michigan. I love that state. I just wish you guys didn't have that governor there. Man, oh man. It's as bad as any of them out there, right now with everything they're trying to pass, or passing. anyhow, we had chickens before. Unfortunately, they all got picked off by a neighbor dog, and we took a break for a while. And then I wanted them, and my wife jumped on board. Now they're her babies again. So she's hand raising them and hand feeding them, and they jump right on her hand. And she'll be the Pied Piper of chickens again. They'll be following her around. She's got one we call Dora because she was the one always up at the top, ready to jump out of the cage and go explore. So that's Dora, Dora the Explorer. You should call one Map, huh? Or Backpack. I don't know. She's got a bunch of them. I forget the other names she's got, but she loves them. She's out there every day with them. It's really cool to see, actually. It makes her happy. And it's good to see her happy. So it makes me happy. And I like them too. They're cool. Barred Rock, you want a good chicken that's really nice, friendly, not scared or anything. Barred Rocks, man. And they're hardy. They're good up north here. The winter doesn't get to them. Let's see. I keep trying to get to this chat, but here we go. So he got a tractor for the land. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I had a Farmall H completely restored. The only drawback to that tractor was it didn't have a power lift in the back. I always wanted a Ford 8N or something along those lines. And that's probably the way I'll go. Although I love Farmalls. You can do a power thing on them. They make kits and stuff, but I love Farmalls. But I like the Fords too, maybe a Jubilee or something, because you have to have a tractor. Or, what you really need is a modern compact tractor, because there's so many jobs you need it for, and I know this is a gun channel, but guys, when you're into firearms, you should be into the Second Amendment and know a little bit about what your government is doing, not just federally, locally, county. That's most important. Get involved. But you should have that whole independent mindset where you can take care of yourself and take care of your family. And you just learn. You just go do it. And you'll learn. Chickens. Didn't know a thing about them. Built a coop, bought some chickens, and boom. Great. Before you know it, you got more eggs than you know what to do with it. You're giving them to neighbors. Maybe you're selling some. Yeah, eventually you're giving them to whoever will take them because you got so many. But hey, in a bad situation, eggs will get you whatever you need, right? You can trade for things. You can, I wish, I'm hoping wherever we go, we can find like a town co-op or something where, everybody brings either, maybe they're produce or maybe they're a beef producer or pigs and you got eggs and whatever. And it comes to a local co-op and everybody trades, or you get points for what you bring. And then you use those points to get whatever you need. At one point on our road down south, I could, had I wanted to, of course, we had eggs. We had rabbits at one point. My initial thing with the rabbits was for meat. And then, of course, the kids, pets, yeah, you can't do that. So that went out the window. But you can't really survive on just rabbit anyways. You die. It's too lean, and it's great protein if you're mixing it with other stuff. But and I love rabbit. My wife's grandmother made the most incredible Hassenpfeffer you ever had in your life with like this red paprika gravy or whatever it was. Oh, my wife made it once for me. Now she won't make it anymore. I lose. Oh, well. Anyhow, but on our road, we had eggs, had rabbits, had we chose to do that. Another friend up the road had sheep, so we could get lambs in the spring and stuff. There was beef production up and down the road, and actually my son had a cow. What else was? Lots of vegetables up and down the road, sweet corn, anything you wanted. And everybody puts it out at the end of their road or driveway and puts it on a table or in a cooler or box. And it's honor system. They put a little box out with the price and you put your money in and take what you want. And everybody just trusts everybody. It's a great way to live, guys. I couldn't imagine moving back to the city. It just appalls me. I feel closed in. I feel anxious. The smells, the sounds, the activity, the people, the lack of humanity and everything else. It's just so different. Till you experience it, you don't know what you're missing. And I shouldn't be telling everybody how good it is, but it is. Uh, Joe says, "Hi, Mrs. Rock. Hopefully Tennessee stays free." Yeah, you know, Tennessee now, if you're not there already, you missed the boat because the prices are through the roof. And what initially was where somebody could go get a property at a reasonable price in a beautiful area, secluded maybe. Now, yeah, the city slickers have come in and destroyed it. Their cities have their own problems too. They're no different than anywhere else in this country now, and you got to be out a little ways. There's the drugs and all the other stuff that goes along with it. And now you can't touch anything because the money came in. Nashville, it's the new California. All the musicians, the big musicians, all moved to Nashville now. I've got a family member that works for a huge classic rock band that every one of you has heard of. That is still to this day played on the radio every day. And he has worked for them for, I bet he's pushing 30 years now. And they all moved from LA. Matter of fact, one of them lived just under or above the Hollywood sign in California. All $1 million homes, all that. And guess where they all moved to? Yep, outside of Nashville, beautiful side of a mountain. The house flows from inside to outside, back in again. You don't even know. Stream going through it, everything. Multi millions that, 30 years ago, that land was dirt cheap. And now it's unaffordable. So far, they've held off a lot of the laws, regulations, gun control, all that. And actually stepped ahead in a good way. But now it's coming in. They just had something go down the other day. They have constitutional carry there, and there was some bad law passed the other day. I was reading and passing. I can't remember what it was. Let's see. Martin Coe is here. Good to see you. K-Bar was named from old trapper that wrote the company saying he killed a bear with. Really? So K-Bar? Really? I never heard that. Hattori Hanzo's here. Good to see you, man. N1K5M1TH. Howdy. Don't sell yourself short, Chris. You're one of the best that others just simply haven't heard of until now. Well, I don't know about that, but I do it for fun. It'd be great if it got bigger. And I just try to get the word out to people. That's all. I don't try to pretend I'm something I'm not. I just try to pass. What good is knowledge if you can't pass it along, right? You got to get it out there. No matter how insignificant that knowledge may seem to you, it may seem like nothing. Like, oh, that's just, doesn't everybody know that? No, not everybody does. And I know how hard I work to gain knowledge in certain areas, whether it be firearms, whether it be gunsmithing, whether it be refinishing, or what to buy, when to buy, what to pay, how to do certain things. It's hard fought knowledge, and the time it takes to read and research and all those things, at least to do anything right, takes time. So if I can make that easier for someone and lump it all together, I shouldn't be a AK channel or just a gun channel. It should be, I really wish it progressed into a little bit of everything. I guess I'd love to bring the channel into homesteading a little bit, whatever. I don't know anything about gardening. I suck at it, and I would really like to learn. I worked so hard on a garden one year, and it just went to hell. Partially because I had to have surgery and I was down for a while, but it was just hard, and that's only learned from somebody that really knows or experience. Failing and trying it again a different way. That type of thing. John Crump, Jared, Guns and Gadgets, along with a few others, are great as well for our second. That's who I was talking about. So I told you, John Crump subscribed here. I can't believe it. I really can't. I'm like, what is he subscribing to my channel, this garbage little channel? And I got John Crump in here, right? That's really cool. I guarantee you it came from 2A I'll bet you he sent him over here. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if he watches, if he listens, but he does outstanding work. He's just I loved his video the other day. He lit into the prosecutor, telling her he wasn't intimidated and he will never be intimidated. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even know what intimidation feels like. Bro, you're a badass. And he looks the furthest thing from a badass, right? Just super nice guy with his kids, and and he's a credentialed journalist. He really does a nice job. He writes for AmmoLand, a few other things. Does a really nice job, and I love his videos. He's been on 2A they're both channels you should check out. But yeah, and Crump, John Crump, or Crumpy, as some people call him, has just soared. I mean, he's hanging with bigwigs. He's hanging with a ton of big shot Second Amendment lawyers, constitutional lawyers, people in the industry that are really someone. They're not just a YouTube jerk off smoking cigarettes on a gun channel. I know I gotta quit. It's the only bad habit I got. But we're working on it. My wife has quit. That's a good thing. Let's see. And I think I sold ourselves short. There's many that I am subscribed to that do their best to bring out the tyranny we are dealing with. God bless you all putting out the content to try and let others know the truth. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Another awesome 8K channel is Clayco47. Highly recommended his channel. Yep. He kind of came out of nowhere. One day I'm going through and, I've been doing this a few years now, and I knew the people in the 8K space. And all of a sudden, who's this Clayco kid? And he was kind of pissed me off at first. Here's this young kid, and he does a lot of 3-gun, and those were the initial videos I saw. And I know how hard 3-gun is. And when I've shot 3-gun, matter of fact, my first match, I wanted to shoot it with an AK, and I was going to shoot it with my Krebs rifle. And I showed up, and they wouldn't let me shoot it. Told me my ammo was going to damage their new targets. We're going to put a little jig in them. And they wouldn't let me shoot it. So luckily enough, I had an AR I had just built with me, but it hadn't even been sighted in. So I had a red dot laying in the trunk, and I had 5 minutes and about 8 rounds to zero the thing. And I went out and shot my first 3. Oh, and adjust the gas block on. And I went out and shot my first 3-gun match with it. Would have done much better had I been running the AK, but I ran my Vepr 12 gauge, my what I call now my 3-gun AR, And what pistol? I think I shot my Springfield Armory XDM. Holy cow, what a pile. But yeah, it's a lot tougher than it looks. If you guys have never done it, show up at a 3-gun match, find out where one is, show up, get there an hour early. And if you're missing some stuff, you don't have a belt rig or holsters or mag pouches or any of the gear to run it, don't worry about it. Bring whatever you got. And no matter how goofy it looks, I've seen guys running 3-gun matches wearing Chinese chest rigs. And, then you got all the hot rod guys out there with the $1,000 belt systems. I ran it with my Vepr 12 gauge automatic with big 20 round mags this long hanging under it. Where do you put those when you're running a 3-gun match? I had tactical pants on, and I stuffed one in each big cargo pocket on the side, and I'm trying to run with them, and they're flopping. And I got gun mags and pistol mags in my pockets, and it was a friggin' mess, but I did okay. I shot well. It was just I shouldn't even say target acquisition, but it was hard to remember your course of fire until you get the hang of it. And then, of course, the temperature dropped and it started ice and rain and snow. And since the temperature dropped, the power of my rounds I was using in the AR dropped down and it wouldn't cycle. So the first um, uh, section of the match, I was essentially shooting a bolt action. So yeah, that's because it wouldn't let me shoot my AK. There's definitely a what's the word I'm looking for? There's like a bias or a discrimination against AKs in 3-gun. And if you want to shoot one, it's like you're looked down upon. Now, that may not hold true at all 3-gun matches and 3-gun clubs and all of that. But certainly that day, and I belonged to the club that was hosting it. And I even went to the president, and he said, well, you should be able to shoot. I said, it says on your website. They wouldn't let me run it. God, I got cats making noise. Listen to this. It's like a zoo around this place. Honey, you need to come home quick. Anyhow, yeah, at Clayco. So here's this kid, and he's showing how fast he can shoot and everything. And I'm like, okay, great. You got a trigger in the gun, And he's fast. I'm not taking anything away from him. And he's a fabulous 3-gun shooter. Way better than I could ever be. Partially, well, if I was his age again, I could probably be as good, but I can't anymore. But he just rubbed me wrong right off the bat, kind of. And the more I watch his channel, the more I got to learn his personality. He seems like a really nice guy. But I don't know, maybe it was almost a little what's the word I'm looking for? Jealousy or something along those lines a little bit, like, who's this young whippersnapper, kind of thing. But yeah, seems like a nice guy. But yeah, give me a nice ELD trigger in there. I'm just as fast. At least in the trigger department. I can't run with this shit anymore. I'm out of breath too quickly. Let's see another. Atlantic Firearms has Romanian battlefield pickups fixed in under folders for under a G. Built by them, right? They build nice stuff. The guys they have building out their kits, they do nice stuff. I wouldn't mind. I don't have a Romanian underfolder, and I really want one. I love underfolders. I mean, that was the first AK I ever got, and actually, my wife bought me that for Valentine's Day. She started this whole mess. She can't complain anymore. But matter of fact, it's sitting right next to me here. Um, it's a well, some of you guys know. It's a Yugoslavian M70 AB2 underfolder, century gun, and one of the best century ever to come down the pipe. Everybody you don't hear the century crap too much anymore. Back in the day, oh my God, they got the crap pounded out of them by social media. But they subbed those guns out, and it's one of the best uh, guns they ever built. Probably because they didn't build them. But my love for the underfolder started there, and it's just such a cool gun. What's not? There's not much cooler than an underfolder wire stock AK, whether it's Bulgarian, Romanian, Yugoslavian, Russian. But I love Yugo guns and I love Yugo underfolders. I can't wait for the new Zastava underfolder to come out. That's going to be a great gun, and I can't wait to get my hands on. I am for what I never take advantage of these relationships I build. I got invited to that Zastava shoot, and I've never asked them for anything for testing or anything. And it used to be I wasn't too far from them. Now that we're up north, I'm still not all that far, but sure would be nice to take advantage of them a little bit and see if they'll give me one to test. Or Arsenal, I never call in any favors. All these other guys get stuff shipped to them. Yeah, can you use it for a month? Do a video. I don't know. Never been paid by anybody. Nothing. You would think something, I don't know. I want a Kalashnikov KP9. Yeah, why not? Right? I don't have a 9 millimeter AK. Never. I think they're cool, but to me, I just never. Yeah, the videos is cool, but by time we got those started coming around, I was into my Scorpions big time, and then of course the MP5. I had that little Ruger with the detachable barrel and everything. Trying to think what else. Just I love those Scorpions, and when it came to AKs, I stuck to 7.62 by 39. I just love that gun, that round. It's quintessential. Yeah, I know 5.45, great round. I kick myself now for not having a few, but at the time it just meant procuring a whole bunch of different magazines for the platform. God forbid I had to stockpile another pile of 5.45 ammo and all that. So I stuck to 7.62. And by far in the American market, 7.62 rules the day, right? There's a lot of 5.45 out there. And it was great when all that 7 and 6 was out there, that surplus ammo, dirt cheap, as much as you wanted. And when that went away, it crushed it for a while. And now look what those guns are bringing. They're bringing twice the money of the same gun in 7.62. Why? Because they went away. That's why. When things go away, nobody wants them till they're sold out. When they're sold out, then everybody wants them. I have 3 AK rifles. Good. You need more, Shadow Panther. Get some more. He's the same guy that was talking about the KP9. Shipping and taxes are killing import prices. Yes, and the dollar probably. I have AR-15 Springfield St. Victor pistol and a Ruger AR-15 5.56. Good choices. The Ruger's a nice rifle. I love when the Saint. I can't remember. It was the upper model when they first came out. I loved that rifle. I thought it was so cool. I never bought one, but HK VP9 handgun, great gun, great gun. I've have a true appreciation for HK since the MP5 and discovering delayed roller actions. And the VP9, I almost grabbed one, I don't know, 8 months ago maybe. They had their hot rod match gun on sale. It had the compensator, the longer barrel, all the stuff. It was just badass looking. And I wanted an HK pistol. And it was dirt cheap at the time. It was like $6.99 or $6.99 I think, or maybe $7.50, which was a steal for that gun. I think they're like $900 now or something, and I haven't even seen one since. And it was like at a local farm store too. And I was with a buddy, and we were both going to grab one, and I just didn't want to take the beating from my wife at the time, so I passed. But I wish I would have got it. What? No OD green chickens? Now, you know what? If I can get this damn chicken thing under control and the property under control and the motorhome under control and all these other projects, I can actually start working on my side-by-side, which this is going to be cool, guys. Wait till you see. I've got a Honda Big Red side-by-side. Side-by-side is, an ATV, but more like a car, right? Two people sit side by side with the dump box on the back and the roll cage and everything. It's 4x4. Honda came out with a new one called the Pioneer after that, right after I bought this one. And I kicked myself for not getting a Pioneer at the time. But these Big Reds go through anything and everything. Rarely do I even need to put it in four-wheel drive, let alone four-wheel low, let alone locking both axles. I mean, if I lock the axles, throw this thing in four-wheel and low, it'll pull a house up a mountain. I mean, it's unbelievable how these things go. They make snorkel kits and all kinds of stuff. I've been in water over the floor and never needed it, but they go through anything. Anyhow, mine's a camo one. Honda made them in red and camo pattern. It's the ugliest camo pattern you ever see in your life. But I am going to either wrap it or paint it. Nice. I don't do half-ass spray jobs or anything. It'll be perfect. Everything's black except the only thing they color on is the hood and the two sides of the bed. So I'm going to spray those OD green or wrap them. And on the hood, it's got a nice big spot open on the hood for a big white star. And then on the back side panels of the bed, I may put a small star, but on down the side where it says Big Red, it'll be OD green. And then in the stencil font, like my channel uses, or you see right up there on Rockford Ordnance, I'm going to have Rockford Ordnance down the side done in the stencil, and then like some numbers, you know how they do, or there'll be an arrow stencil with gas fill or something, and put some number on there. And the number, I'm going to have it be like 76239 or something like that. And it's going to look like a little army Jeep. And I think I'm even going to get a leather scabbard that hooks to the roll cage for the Garand. And it'll be awesome. And I got my World War II helmet. And that's how we're going to show up to different YouTube events, I think. I don't know. It'll be cool. I can't wait to do it. But I got to get my wife's projects out of the way, and house projects and other stuff. So, and then we'll do that. But you guys will see that. That's going to be awesome. RDH, I've always appreciated your content. Great job. Well, thank you very much. Did you ever get that CM5 fixed? So, if you watch the videos and or were in the live stream here that night when Arsenal actually showed up to it, someone from the factory came into the stream, which I was amazed at. I'm like, holy cow, Arsenal's in my stream. I guess at some points I do some things right. I don't know why things don't get bigger than they are, but people tend to. I mean, I've met the biggest of the big in this industry, and I guess maybe I sell myself short. I mean, we're pushing 10,000 subscribers soon, so that's nothing to sneeze at, I guess. But it's just been a slow process. But anyways, he showed up here and said, "Yeah, send it in. Call me." Gave me his number. We emailed a little bit, and I was going to contact him more. And then I thought, I got looking at it, and yeah, there was a lot of deformation for the round count. It was like under 200 rounds, and it was moving more than any other AK platform gun I ever had. But it still wasn't that bad, where I almost felt like I jumped the gun a little bit, but then when I really sat down and thought about it, no, I wasn't jumping the gun. Some people thought, oh, well, you're just new to AKs and don't know how they wear it. And I'm like, really? Apparently you never watched a video on my channel, but I know how AKs wear. I know how they operate. I know how they wear in. I know how things progress or don't progress. There's not much I don't know. But I kind of thought, you know what? I want to see what's done is done. It's at the point where, yes, it's overgassed. Yes, it's doing some damage, but it's not like the gun's going to come apart in another couple hundred rounds, So I thought, I want to run this thing some more and see if it stops, sort of like back in the day when they were putting Tapco G2 triggers in them. And the triggers were harder than the bolt carrier in the tail. So it was smashing the tails on the bolt carrier. Well, they would progress so far and then stop. I never had one go, where it just beat the piss out of itself. But I thought, I'm just going to shoot this thing. And yeah, the overgassing kind of ruins it for me because I bought a 5.56 AK to have that AR type of recoil, just pop, 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 where it don't move. And that's definitely not the case. It's overgas. Yes, overgassing is a intrinsic built-in part of the AK platform. It's what makes it so reliable. But at the end of the day, I wanted this to be a really flat shooting, stay put, no muzzle rise rifle. And that's not what I have because of the overgassing. However, I thought it only appropriate to put some more rounds and see what happened. So I did the follow-up video on that. And I think that day we put 300 or 400 rounds through it. I don't recall now. And I'd like to put another 500 through it and just see what happens. I was going to leave that rifle alone, but at the end of the day, I can't get the proper cheek riser height on it for the optic I want to use without switching stocks, and I still haven't found a stock that will work for me on a milled rifle. If any of you guys have a idea on what stock to put on a SAM that will give me or incorporates a cheek riser to use with either a scope or a prism optic, something like that, I would appreciate it. I guess I gotta just get out there and look for it, but I was gonna leave it alone. I got Bakelite on it and a salmon stock right now, sort of along, because it's 5.56, sort of along that 5.45 rifle, looking like a Bulgarian 5.45 basically. And Now I think, that's a really cool caliber for that gun. It runs well. It runs. It doesn't jam. It doesn't do anything terrible. So if it ends up being super reliable, why not tack it out and make the gun fit me extremely well, and make it a versatile rifle, that perfect 3-gun rifle, right? Now you can't bitch. And, always ammo for it and everything, and it'd be a great rifle. So I may go the tack route on that. We'll see. I don't know. But I'm going to run it some more, and then when I'm done running it and whatever happens, if it stops or it progresses, either way, I'm going to send it back to them so they can do their fix, and we'll report on it then. For right now, I'm just shooting it to see what happens. So that's what'll be on that. Pigs and cows are ready to eat in under a year. Yes, they are. And for those of you that don't know, animals, a lot of people think that farm animals are hard to take care of or hard to keep up or expensive to feed, and depends how you do it. So cows are one of the easiest things ever to raise. And you don't need more than, you could put a couple cows on 5 acres, and that's, I don't even know if you'd have to divide the property up, but if you put a fence across and 2 pastures where you could rotate them, but I don't even think you really need to with 2 cows. You put them out in pasture, let them eat grass. The only thing you have to provide is water and something for them to get out of the wind. And by that, I don't mean a barn. I mean a 3-sided lean-to shelter, and water is all you need. And they'll eat grass and grow. And if you wanted to finish them with grain or molasses or whatever concoction you finish them with, it's so easy. So easy. Pigs, on the other hand, while they're easy and will eat anything, they stink. They stink to high heaven. So while I love pork, and I would love, a freezer full of baby back ribs and bacon. I think bacon should be, if there was going to be one meat left in the world and it's all I could have and everything else was going away, give me bacon. Let's see. Yeah, so if you want to do a cow, get a cow, give it some water, build a lean-to, and have a field full of grass, and you're good to go. Those AB2s are worth about what? Shut up. You got to be kidding me. No way. I don't believe it. AB2s are worth $2,300. I don't know how many of you have heard me say it, but when I first got into AKs, my wife bought me the M70 AB2 at a local gun shop for Valentine's Day. And I didn't know anything about AKs, zero. And I had my choice, Wasser or M70 AB2. And I'm looking at them, and to me, I thought the Wasser was a used gun. I thought it was used because back then, Wasser 10s came with the military wood that was all, half-ass sanded and all dried out looking, and the beat-up Bakelite grip. Oh, no, it didn't come with a Bakelite, did it? It came with a black grip, Century grip. And the barrel was canted, and it came with all the crap. And I'm looking at it, that looks using that underfolder. That's pretty cool looking. And I didn't know Yugo took different furniture. I knew nothing. I was a newbie. And so she got me that one. And then a couple months later, I went and bought a Wasser. That's just because that's what the gun shop had. And when you've got an M70 AB2 underfolder sitting there and a Wasser side by side, and you're deciding what you want to shoot, well, it's the M70 all day long. My washer to me feels like absolute junk. It's tinny sounding because of the thinner receiver top cover. It just, you rack it and it sounds like a pile of garbage compared to that. And it's rough, and it's just, to this day, my washer has less rounds through it than just about any. My Vepers have more rounds through them than my washer does. I just, and partially because it's tweaked a little, even though I've straightened some stuff. When they riveted the receiver, they riveted it in the wrong sequence, and the receiver kind of did this to kind of put a twist in it. Although the gun shoots straight, didn't even really have to move the sight pin much, and it functions just fine. It just, I don't know. I just don't care for it. I love the way it looks now, but don't care for it. I would like a newer washer, what they're putting out now. I'd like to have one because I just think they feel better, look better, everything. A little more attention to detail paid. But yeah, when you were to think, which one am I going to shoot? It was the M70 AB2. So here's the decision I made. I thought to myself, well, I'm going to buy every M70 AB2 I see. Why? Because my thinking was, well, I need one. My son needs one. My wife needs one. And I'm thinking, to the girls, can they handle that? Maybe we'll get them. I thought my youngest daughter, I'd give her a 1022 with a 25 round mag in it. And my older daughter at the time, I thought, well, maybe she could shoot like an AR or something like that. But the plan was I needed a minimum of 5 M70 AB2s to prep my family, right? So I started buying them. Anytime I came across one in a shop, because they were gone. Century had built them, and they were bought up and gone. You'd see one new here and there, but you'd see them pop up used, And this is not the last batch that came in. These were the original batch. So they'd pop up. I bought one. This is a great story. I don't know if I've told you guys this one before, but I'm on Gunbroker, and I see it's a gun shop selling it, and he had 100 listings on there of all different stuff. And look at this AK, and nobody's bid on it. It's like it was bid to like $100 or something. And the guy had done a Krylon job on it, painted it tan. He had wrapped the stock in rope and then electrical tape. And you could see right next to where the rope ended a little bit of rust, and all the Krylon was half worn off. And it had a bolt hold open mag in it that was painted. It was all Krylon, like FDE, flat dark earth. And the mag was done with a star like the Texas flag. Gun shop was in Texas. Somebody had traded it into him. But looking at the gun up close, everything looked just fine on it. Just this friggin' paint and everything. And they were Parkerized from Century and blued, and not much to them. I thought, you know what? If I get it cheap enough, see what we can do with it. So I think I got it for around $200, and I picked it up at the local shop. And I remember I stopped at Home Depot, and I got some stripper and brush and a bunch of stuff. And I was hurrying home to get it all stripped, this paint stripped off it before my wife got home. This is bad, because I thought, you know what, if I get it stripped down, it's just another black rifle. She won't know. And I won't get in trouble, even though it was only $200. So I get home, and I take it all apart I think I was either planning the channel at that point, or had just started it, maybe. I think planning it. And I was taping it on my phone, I think. And then I was going too fast, screwed it up. Anyhow, I tear it down in about 30 seconds and I slather this stuff on it. And I had never used it before. I'm like, I wonder how this is going to turn out, And it bubbles up and I hit it with a cloth. It comes right off and the parkerizing is there. Some nooks and crannies I had to work with. And I took all the parts outside and I hosed it all down. I mean, pressure hosed it down to get all that chemical off. And then I brought it back in the shop and threw it all in the sink and washed it some more. And then pulled part by part out, dried it, and soaked it down in gun oil and let them sit on paper towels. And by the time I got the last part dried and oiled, I had cut that rope off and the tape, and the rust was nothing, literally. Even the mag came out beautiful, and it was an early bolt hold open mag, blued, really nice. And I get all put back together, and I wipe the heavy oil off, so it's just got a nice light, super light coating of oil. And I look at the gun, and it's perfection, like the day it came out of the box. And I'm like, holy cow, I got an M70 AB2 for $200. And at that point, I could have sold it probably for $600 or $700. And so I had that one. And then I saw a gun broker thing again for an M70 AB. And I bid and I won that one super cheap. That's where my limit of $500 came from. I never wanted to go over 500. At that point, they were $499 new or something, and if I could buy them cheaper on the used market, well, great. I could get 5 of them for, let's say, an average of $300 a piece or something. So I see it on Gunbroker, and it's a nice one. I'm like, oh yeah, boom! I bid, and I get it like $275 or something. I'm like, yeah, and it's here in Wisconsin, but it's on the western side of the state. So I went out there with my father-in-law and ran out and grabbed it. And I walk in the shop because it was in state too, so it was perfect. Didn't have to ship it or nothing. So I show up at the shop and I said, hey, I'm the guy that won the da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, right over there. I grab it and I'm looking. I'm like, what is wrong? I go, oh no. In my excitement, I knew about this at the time, and I knew better. Anytime I'd see one cheaper, this was why. It was an M70 AB2T. And the T meant that it wasn't the bulge trunnion. And I went, oh, crap. And I was really disappointed, but I had done the auction, so I paid the guy. It was cheap enough. And I took it home, and I'm like, oh, I'm really disappointed. It's just, it looks just like one, just no bulge trunnion. And I think maybe a lighter barrel. I don't remember right now. Yeah, I have a video on it you can watch. But yeah, so I start researching it. And what it was the initial M70s were milled guns, okay? Matter of fact, 28EDU has one hanging behind him on every video and live stream he does. The early ones were milled. The Yugoslavian did not take on the Russian pattern rifle. They were part of that com block, but they wanted to do their own. They had Zastava and they wanted to do their own. So they were going to stay in line with the mandates of the com block, but they were going to make an AK rifle, but their own tweaks on it. And that's where, the longer handguards, the heavy barrel, the heavier receiver, all that stuff come from, because the Yugos have a penchant for launching grenades, right? They like to launch grenades off their rifles, whether it was an SKS or their new AK platform. They wanted to launch grenades. So they start with a milled receiver. That's what Zastava does. They build beautiful rifles, right? And they had been building their version of the SKS. And why not mill this one? So the first M70 that comes out is the milled version. Well, they quickly find that they're very expensive to build and very time consuming, and they needed to figure out a cheaper way to do it. So they say, great, we're going to go to a stamped gun. So the first one they come out with is a straight receiver, no bulge trunnions. Essentially everything else, what we know today, the ZPAP, etc., OPAP, it was basically all the same, but the receiver was only 1 millimeter instead of 1.5, and it was no bulge trunnions. And they still wanted to launch grenades. So they come to find that the stamped receivers start exhibiting cracks from launching grenades and just plain firing them. It wasn't holding up like the milled receivers. So there was a very, very short run of those straight wall 1 millimeter receiver guns. And Century happened to get a bunch of those demilled kits. And since it was an M70 AB2, which is, by the way, the Century designation, but also was a Yugoslavian designation, but on different patterns. Anyhow, Century named it the T. And I don't know what that stood for, if it stood for thin or straight trunnion, or who knows what they did, or just it was what they added on there. Anyhow, they got a small batch of these demilled kits. Why a small batch? Because there were, in the grand scheme of things, a very small amount of these Zastava built military straight wall receiver AK pattern rifles built. They didn't make that many. They made them. They started seeing the cracks develop, and they quickly canceled it. And I forget the numbers now. You can see it on my video. It's called The Tale of the T, and I tell the story about it all. So there's very few of them in comparison to milled rifles or bulge trunnion rifles. So in a way, it's sort of collectible if you're into that, if you want one of each iteration. So all of a sudden, now they know the history. That's kind of cool, right? Okay, I'll keep it. And yeah, the gun was nice, and it ran just fine, still runs just fine. So now I had 3 of them. And at that point, I started discovering other stuff like Vepers, and thank God. Thank God I didn't corner the market on M70 AB2Ts or AB2s. But I was buying Vepers and Arsenals and whatever other cool stuff. But at $2,300, that first one new in the box cost me $399, I think it was. I can't believe it. $2,300 for a Century built. Wow. Holy moly. So I got a nice chunk. So see, another wise decision on Rock's part. Corner the market on the M70. Another $2,300 a pop. Holy my ooh. I hope my wife ain't watching. She'd be like, go sell those things right now. Actually, my father has one. My father has the T, actually. He, he was watching me and hearing me talk about him, and my channel was starting, and he wanted an AK. So And at the time, I was doing an NPAP project. And we did a camo job on it. At that point, let's see, Magpul grip, a rifle dynamics, um, uh, buffer tube, stock adapter, a Fab Defense stock with cheek riser, primary arms 3x prism scope, Meridian Defense BD2 muzzle brake, the ultimate trigger. I think we ended up the handguard originally was the Century polymer handguard, which is kind of squared off. I kind of liked it actually, but ended up going to a TDI Arms billet M-lock handguard. What else did we change on it? A Krebs safety. And that was about it. You guys have all seen my NPAP. It's kind of my go-to range rifle. That thing goes with me everywhere. It's got well over 10,000 rounds, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes. It's got a who makes the spring? The trigger people. ALG. It's got an ALG Defense recoil spring. The ALG Ultimate Trigger. I don't know, a couple other things. But just a fabulous rifle. NPAP, the ones that crack and are so terrible. And yeah, okay. Don't believe everything you hear on the internet. That rifle's got, it used to be impressive when you said, $2,000 worth of ammo through it. Well, now that only means what? 4,000 rounds? Well, back then it meant 10,000 rounds, It's been camoed, it's been stripped, it's been FDE'd once and stripped again, and it still looks brand new. But anyhow, my dad saw me building that, and he says, I want one of those. So I said, I got the perfect rifle, because essentially it is an MPAP, right? Straight receiver, a no bulge trunnion, yada, yada. So his was an underfolder, and he didn't want the underfolder. So I got I forget who made that, but I got an underfolder adapter that took it from an underfolder to a buffer tube, so you could put a stock on it. And I did the same the ALG trigger, BD2 muzzle brake, bag pull grip, ALG trigger. I think I said that. ALG springs, whole 9 yards on that T. So he has that T now, and he shoots it, and he loves it. And it's still going strong. No cracks, no outs, no errors, and the gun runs great, and he loves it. So he has that one. That was a gift. So sitting in a safe. He doesn't shoot it much anymore, but you can see all that in the Tale of the T video. And that's kind of not really common knowledge that people have about that. I think they think all M70s were either milled or bulge trunnion guns. I mean, as far as military guns, these were from kits, that Century built. There was the OPAP, that was a Zastava civilian built rifle. And then the NPAP, and then Century made the M70 underfolder. There was an NPAP underfolder. The NPAPs essentially turned to the ZPAP. We all know that story, but nobody knew anything about this T. The only other video I've seen on them that actually tells the military tale about it, how it came about, is Misha. and he's got a good video on it too. So it's kind of little known knowledge out there, I think. I don't think many people know about it. But it's something you can, if you're in a Yugo circle one day and guys are talking about this and that, and you can throw that in there. And I find that once in a while they call them, oh, bullshit, there was never any such. I think I have a tick on me, guys, right now. Right now, I can feel the sucker. Yep, he was biting me. Where'd he go? God damn it. Ticks have been unbelievable. Out looking at property the other day, me and my wife, we get home. I think she had 2 or 3 on her. I had 5 or 6 on me. And one bit her pretty good. And they're tiny little suckers too, man. I'm going to itch all over from it. I think they got in the house somehow and now they're breeding or something. I don't know. But yeah, the ticks, we got a couple warm days and the ticks were out in force everywhere. I can't believe the dogs haven't gotten them. Maybe they do. I got to check them. But anyhow, yeah, it's a cool story. Misha's got a great video, little known. You know what else guys get wrong about Yugos all the time? And it's always fun when you're in a circle and you always got Joe Expert there. You know, he's got his ZPAP, of course. And it's his first AK, but he's the local pro. And he's going to tell everybody what he knows about Yugoslavian M70s and how the ZPAP is the greatest rifle ever produced. And he's going to tell them about, yeah, there were NPAPs and there were OPAPs and there were these and that's all garbage. And, you know, the OPAP is junk and the NPAP is pure garbage. They destroy themselves. And he's going to talk all about it. And then he's going to say, and then came the ZPAP. And here it is with its bulged trunnion and its heavy barrel and its chrome lining. And it's the best of the best that they ever made. And then I'll be standing there and I'll go, but well, no, actually, you know, that gun didn't start out like that. The original ZPAP was a straight-walled receiver. No bulged trunnions, no chrome lined barrel, nothing. Most of them will know they didn't have a chrome barrel originally, but they won't know about the straight-walled receiver. There's like an age gap, I think, when that happened, because guys tend to completely forget that when the ZPAP first hit the market, it was a straight-walled receiver. It was an NPAP, essentially. Because all that happened was Century either gave up or lost the import deal for Zastava, because Century was the importer of all the Zastava rifles until Zastava said, hey, we can do this ourselves. And I don't know why they did that, if it was just they wanted to, or if Century pissed him off somehow, or maybe Century's reputation got to him a bit, or maybe they saw the money Century was making. Whatever the case may be, the rifle that probably sold the most was the NPAP, which was an M70 straight-walled receiver. And when Zastava started up Zastava USA, which is actually headquartered down in Illinois, right near O'Hare Airport. They couldn't call it the NPAP anymore because NPAP was Century's name for it. They owned that name. So they came out with the ZPAP, and they didn't change shit. It was an NPAP. Here you go. Here's the new ZPAP. No chrome line barrel. No bulge trunnions, 1 millimeter receiver, all that. And it was, it's a Zastava ZPAP. The greatest rifle they've ever built. Here it is. Everybody tends to forget that early non-bulge trunnion gun. And all these geniuses will, rant on about how wonderful the bulge trunnions are. And they may know that they originally didn't have chrome lined barrels. But matter of fact, the only chrome lined barrels Zastava had done prior to that was the 5.56 guns. And they put the chrome lining in because the American public wanted it. Anyhow, yeah, they forget all about it. So you tell them about that, and they go, "Bullshit! They never made a Z-Pap like that." Okay, whatever you say, genius. And yeah, they don't know. They think that's just how it came. It magically was that. And then what does Zastava do? They listen to their customers. They started building the bulge trunnion guns, the heavier receiver, the heavier barrel. Then everybody was crying for a chrome lining, so they put the chrome lining in the gun. Then they called for nicer furniture and all of that good stuff. And they built a great rifle. They built what the Z-Pap is today. And it's a beautiful rifle. Zastava has always built beautiful rifles. You watch my early videos, guys, when I'm talking about NPAP or M70AB2. I'll talk a lot of times about the gas block. And I'll say, look at how beautifully this thing is machined and the bluing and everything else. I always compliment them on that because they're gorgeous. And yeah, the Z-Pap now is a fabulous, fabulous rifle. And it's what they made for the military all along, except for the chrome lining. And now we have it today, And now, of course, everyone is crying for the underfolder, right? So they did the bullshit underfolder adapter gun for a little bit. Now they are coming out with the underfolder. And I cannot wait to get my hands on one of those because not only was that my first rifle, but now I can have an original all Zastava built Zastava trigger everything rifle that I am sure will be better than my M70AB2, but it's hard to beat that gun to this day. And I'll do another video on it. I've done 2 or 3 videos on that gun. Every couple of years, I pull it out and do another video because it's such a wonderful rifle, partially because of the rounds through it. But it is one of, if not the smoothest AK I own. Smoother than my Sam 7s, smoother than any milled gun. The gun is just glass. It was put together just perfect. I mean, it's a great, great gun. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Maybe we'll have to do something in another video and show it. Boy, it sure would be nice to compare that to the new one, wouldn't it? The Century built one versus the new Zastava underfolder. That would be a great video. Maybe one of the Zastava folks will see this and reach out. That would be fabulous. Yeah, so we'll see. They're good guys over there. When I went to that Zastava shoot, it was a great time, and they were super nice. And yeah, it was neat. So that would be cool. Would love to see it. Let's jump back in here and read some more chat and see what you guys are saying. 2300. I can't even fathom 2300 for an AB2T or AB2. Now I got T on the brain. Hey, Rock, if you feed them critters, they will quiet down. Yeah. Zastava's bringing underfoot. Oh, yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Appreciate it, Ross. George Abdul Washington led the Taliban versus the mighty U.S. Chris, have you seen the Alpha AK stock by Midwest Industries. It's very modern, but it has a cheek riser folder as well. And it'll work on a milled gun. I have not seen that. And that, man, Midwest Industries is great. And guess what? They're right here in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a great state. Not only do we have Bravo Company for ARs, we've got Midwest Industries. There's a ton of great companies up here. Surprisingly enough, I come from a state that had a ton of great companies too. Illinois has more gun builders. It's amazing that one of the most heavily legislated states for guns has people like DSA, the guys that build all the FNFALs. Krebs is there, on and on and on. Zastava is there. I'm trying to think who else. There's just a ton of them. And why they stay there. I mean, with this current legislation, when I was talking to Mark Krebs, he's really was beside himself. And frankly, he's worn out from it. He's like, all I ever wanted to do is pursue my passion and build fabulous rifles. And he's getting older. He doesn't want to. He's just worn out. Not that he's not gonna fight against it and all that, but he's like, why can't they just leave me alone? He's in those years of his life where he's probably one of the most household names there is when it comes to AKs. He builds great stuff. He's built a great company. And he just wants to do his thing, and he's constantly got to worry about all this stuff, I said, well, that's simple, Mark. You move about 10 miles north. Not even. He's 5 miles, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's not far. He'd be right next to me, actually, which would be kind of cool. I'm actually closer to Mark now than is for distance-wise than I was when I lived down there. So that's cool. Let's see. What else is there? I had to skip some here. And then we have to hit one more thing here, guys. And that is, hold on. I'm just checking the chat here. Make sure I didn't miss anybody or anything. Guys, feel free, if you like the content here, to give us a super chat here. None of this stuff comes free. Like I said, we don't have sponsors. We don't get free stuff. Everything's on me and my wife's dime, and it always helps a little bit. So anything you could give on a super chat is appreciated. And we know it's tough out there. If you can't, you can't. Stay and enjoy the channel and get some information. We're about getting information out to people. So let's talk about the Matt Hoover case. Say aye if you've heard of Matt Hoover and CRS Firearms. I assume, being as my regulars in this channel are pretty astute individuals, have heard of what's going on. So Matt Hoover, and the reason I kind of really feel for this, and I've stayed out of it, I haven't really even mentioned it because he's from Wisconsin too. And frankly, it's a little worrisome. It makes you go, But he started a channel, and it's called CRS Firearms. And when he first started, he did videos out of a resale shop that his family owned. Mom had part, dad had part, he had part, whatever. And they got their FFL and started selling rifles and used rifles. I think maybe it started out, I don't think he was a pawnbroker, but I know he told the story, and they started the FFL portion of their resale shop with family-owned firearms. So his dad contributed 4 or 5, he contributed 4 or 5, some other family member threw in a few, and they started with 10, 15 guns, right, in the case. And they started selling guns, and they would then bring in new firearms, shotguns, and stuff Wisconsin people like, a lot of deer rifles, stuff like that. But Matt was always in the military stuff, especially his M2s, M2s, his essentially his AR rifles, and it looked like he had done some match shooting at one point. Pretty knowledgeable guy early on. He stumbled quite a bit with some of the videos, a little bit, or just the videos were a little rough, but he really started polishing it up, and he came into his own. He was kind of funny. I always thought he was much younger than he was. I thought he was in his 20s, and he's in his mid 30s, I think. Married, 2 kids, worked as a truck driver originally. I think he did contract trucking for the collar Wisconsin kid, working whatever jobs he could to keep his family taken care of. Small town Wisconsin. I think later on, recently even, he divulged the fact that he had cancer and beaten it. I think he was into narcotics at some point and beat that, and just everything going the right way. And not recently. I mean, that was long behind him. Doing well, had this business, all that, YouTube channel. What he did just resonated and took off. Wasn't all that well spoken originally, that type of thing, but it resonated with people, and he did some informative videos, some reviews, some how-tos, and like everybody, I guess, once in a while would report on some Second Amendment stuff, and always took the standpoint of going after the AFT a little bit. Anyhow, the channel grows, and he's trying to make this a career, and is looking for sponsors and whatnot. And this guy approaches him with a product called the Auto Key Card. And essentially what it was a credit card shaped piece of steel, size of a credit card. And on it was drawn a picture of what people in the industry know as a lightning link. Now, he didn't name it a lightning link. That's just the name it's gotten over the years, when back in the day before they were illegal. I guess one of the manufacturers, which there were probably thousands, called it. And they were everywhere. They were around gun shows back in the 80s, and people would make them. He on top of his FFL, he ended up getting an SOT, so he could legally manufacture full automatic machine guns with his FFL SOT license. That being said, I don't think he ever did that. They were just retailing guns out of their store, brick and mortar store. But this sponsor had approached him, and Lightning Link essentially will, it's a metal piece that someone would either manufacture or cut out of steel. And I think they have to be bent a certain way. Don't mark my words on that. I'm not sure. And I know that they will only work in certain receivers. In those receivers, there's a deck inside of AR receivers, and ones that are capable of being either full auto guns or turned into a full auto gun from semi have to have the lower deck height, meaning more of the inside at the back end of the receiver has to be milled down lower. There's probably, I'm going to guess, 70 or 80% of ARs out there have the higher deck. So a lightning link just won't work in them, period. But the like Colt always had the higher deck. The ones that would probably make up 20 or 30% of the guns out there. And you essentially put this piece in there and the gun will shoot full auto. But it's not switchable between semi-auto and full auto. It's either in there or it's not, and it does its thing and whatever. Trying to think. I've heard, I don't know if they actually hold the sear or it just creates a hammer follow type of situation. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that the one that they got from auto key card that the ATF tried to make work essentially just created a hammer follow situation. So for the short period of time they got it to work, it wasn't even working as a machine gun. It was essentially malfunctioning. And when a hammer follows, what that is the hammer never locks back and then releases to get the full spring weight to hit the firing pin. It's just the bolt carrier cocks the hammer back, but it never catches. And then as the bolt comes forward, it essentially follows it forward. And most times when hammer follow happens, there's not enough momentum to even fire the round. So when the ATF, I guess they had 4 of these things, and their expert went about cutting them out and testing them and trying to get them to work. According to the court paperwork, it took them about 40 or 45 minutes to cut this piece out of the auto key card credit card deal. And remember, the outline of this thing was drawn on it like a schematic, right? And used to be back in the day, you could buy them and they were essentially all cut out already, except for 2 little tabs, kind of like when you got a plastic model car and you had to break the pieces off. It was sort of like that. And you'd have to break them off. Well, this wasn't cut like that. It was etched on there, laser etched, which if you've ever seen laser etching, I probably have something here with laser etching on it. Essentially, it's just on the surface. It's nothing. It doesn't go into the metal, doesn't make it like easy to cut or you can't pop them out of there. It has to be machined, also known as what? Manufacturing. It needs to be manufactured. Essentially, it's a piece of sheet metal with the diagram. You might as well draw it on with a marker and then cut it out with whatever you're going to do, a Dremel or whatever, some kind of milling tool, whatever. You have to manufacture it. He was not selling a part. Matter of fact, he went so far as to call before he took the sponsorship from this guy in this company, he called the ATF because he's a FFL SOT, a federal firearms licensed dealer. He's not going to go and do something stupid, illegal, and get himself in trouble and lose his means of making money. So he calls the ATF and he tells them what he has, and they say, yeah, we know what you're talking about. We've seen them before for years and years. No, they're not illegal. You can sell them. Great. He's got the ATF's blessing. Keep in mind, he's not selling them. Auto Key Card and this other gentleman who went on trial with him was the one doing the selling. Matt merely took a sponsorship deal and talked about them, said where they could get them. You can go to such and such, I don't know, a website, I guess it was, and you can order one. And they build it as a novelty. Several things, a pen holder, like for on your desk. I think there was a beer bottle opener built into it. That was the only cup made out of it. It was a novelty. But the way he went about it, the only thing I will say is I remember him, and he probably advertised it for about a year. But he went about it in a way that sort of, and other channels have said this, so I'll tell you up front, I'm copying their saying right now, but it's a well-known saying. He was poking the bear essentially all the time, right? Like, hey, folks, if you want one of these, that the lightning link could, if you cut it out and did this, whatever, it could convert a gun to. So what you want to do, he said, was find some anti-gun relative or friend and mail it to their house, and then go pick it up or whatever. He's being funny, essentially, like go get your friend in trouble or something, even though they weren't illegal according to the ATF. But it's like anything. Nobody wants to have that kind of stuff sent to their house, right? So in that way, when you're making a joke about something not wanting to be sent to your house, you're essentially saying, yeah, it's kind of maybe, it'd be like having some book sent to your house that teaches you how to sabotage things or something. You wouldn't want to do that, So that's what he does. And people go to this guy's website and they buy a lot of them. Anyhow, he pokes the bear a little bit about the ATF and different things. And in the past on his channel, I think he showed one time how to make a gun full auto using a coat hanger. I don't know that he didn't do it, but he explained it. And that's freedom of speech. You can do that. Essentially him, or not him, but this other guy, they charged him with conspiracy to, I think, deliver a machine gun conversion device. And I think he actually had a couple charges of delivering a machine gun conversion part, which it wasn't. Who can say that a credit card, a flat piece of metal with a drawing on it, is a machine gun conversion part? It's not manufactured yet. It's not nearly manufactured. It's a piece of steel with a picture drawn on it. There was no machining work done to it. Matter of fact, there was early on, before or right when a court case hit, I think a year ago, they even said that it was done in the wrong size on purpose. So it couldn't be used. It was purely a novelty. In order to be a machine gun conversion device, it would have to be taken from a piece of flat metal and manufactured into that part. It wasn't manufactured. Just because he said it could be, said it could do this, was that, this and that, that's freedom of speech. It wasn't hurting anybody. It wasn't malicious, wasn't anything. It's freedom of speech. That's like drawing a picture of a burning house and saying you're guilty of conspiracy of arson. It was so out there that when they charged them, everyone was like, are you kidding me? Oh my God, this is going to be the biggest slam dunk ever. Not in a million years did anyone think that he would be convicted of this. And a jury of his peers convicted him on it. Matter of fact, normally he was out on bond, I guess, the whole time. They made it difficult for him, although they arrested him and charged him in Wisconsin. He had to go to court down in Florida. So, here's a young guy with barely getting by, and he's got to go back and forth to Florida with his wife and kids and everything. And they just made it very tough on him. And Nobody ever thought it would go anywhere. He's out on bond till the trial. He gets found guilty, and the prosecutor tells the judge that she doesn't think he should be out on bond because she feels threatened by him. Well, if you've ever watched his channel, that's just not the case. Here's a married man with a business, 2 children. Come on. So he's in jail. Since the time the verdict was read, he's in custody of, I think who is it? The marshals, I think. And his sentencing isn't until early July, I think. And he could get up, at one point, he could have gotten up to 100 years, but I think at this point it sits at 45 years, essentially the rest of his life. With 2 little kids and a wife, then he's the sole means of support. Just, it's unbelievable. You can be charged for a picture on a piece of metal. What if you're hanging out in your business, your garage, your shop, your whatever, and there's a piece of metal laying there, and you're telling a buddy, but what if you hear me talking about it, and you're reiterating the story to someone else, and you go, yeah, the guy was selling these things with a lightning link on it, and your buddy asks you, well, what's a lightning link? And you got a marker and a piece of sheet metal laying there on a breaker or some tool in your garage, and you go, it looks like this, and you draw a picture, show it to them. Are you guilty of manufacturing a machine gun conversion device? Think what you will. Some people have said, well, that was pretty stupid. Well, what do you mean stupid? Well, he was poking the bear, shouldn't do that. And why, as a FFL or anybody, a YouTube personality, why would you push that issue? That's pretty stupid. You're asking for it. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not going to judge it. I don't think that, that's for sure. But a lot of people that I've heard talk about it, even amongst my circle of friends, have said that. Well, he's just, had he stayed away from that, he wouldn't be in the situation he's in. Guys, that's your First Amendment right. And he didn't even sell them. The other guy did. He took a sponsorship deal after calling the ATF, asking him if it was legal, being told, yep, it's fine. Hang up the phone, and he's merely advertising it. And now he's in jail, possibly for 45 years. Can you imagine? What if you develop a product? What if you own a machine shop and you develop a product for whatever, I don't know, any industry, think of it. And later on, a different alphabet soup agency, the EPA, maybe you own a chemical manufacturing company, and you make a insecticide that later the EPA says, nope, this is illegal to produce. It's killing animals, it's killing people, it's poisoning our groundwater, can't make it anymore. But yet you've been manufacturing it all this time, and now it's illegal, and you got a stockpile sitting in your warehouse. You follow me? There's a lot of things that people could be put in jail following that precedence. What about the arm brace? There's lots and lots of channels out there that advertised SB Tactical. And now they're what? Illegal. They advertise them. Are they conspirators? Can they be put in prison? On and on and on, guys. That's a very slippery slope. So whether you are pro-gun, anti-gun, if you're anti-gun, I don't know why you're here, but whatever, it has huge ramifications throughout the entire country. It really does. It sets precedents if this is allowed to stand. My opinion, the prosecutor um, was a bit, I think they were worried about losing the case. I think they even knew how whacked out this was. And they wanted to give special instructions at the end to the jury. The judge didn't allow it. But they wanted to tell the jury essentially, you have to find him guilty, even if all he did was advertise it, or a couple of different things she had said. But they were out to get him. So they wanted to make an example, that's for sure. This other guy, Justin Irvin, he sold them. But again, they weren't illegal. It wasn't until after the sponsorship occurred and Justin Irving was selling them that the ATF came out with a letter, open letter, public letter, saying that they now considered them illegal. And at that point, Matt stopped advertising them. Stopped. So, he followed what they said. They told him straight up they're legal. And then later when they came out with the letter said they're illegal, he stopped. But now he's facing 45 years in jail. Like I said, he was the sole breadwinner. He's got 2 little kids and a wife. You can go to CRS Firearms channel, and there's a link there to a funding site to help, I believe, not only with his legal fees, but to keep the family going until hopefully they can appeal this or whatever. The judge actually set aside the defense tried to have the case dismissed, that they didn't have grounds, right? And the judge didn't say no, but he said he's going to reserve that until after the jury ruled. So maybe there's a possibility that the judge comes back, maybe at sentencing, maybe before, and says, no, you know what? I'm going to dismiss this case. Maybe there's enough public outcry, maybe there's enough whatever that moves it toward that. Is that possible? Yes. Is it probable? I don't know. I don't know. I would hope that calmer, clearer heads prevail and say that this kid had no intent to sell machine guns. Here he's an FFL, a federal firearms license. He's an SOT, but he fully understands the law regarding all that, and knows what you can do and what you can't do, and it's his livelihood. Why would he risk it? That's why he called and asked, is this okay? This wasn't just a kid going, oh yeah, I'll take your sponsorship, send me lots of money, and I'll tell them how great your product is. It wasn't that at all. It's a terrible situation all the way around. It infringes on First Amendment rights, possibly Second Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment. It's one of the most grossly overreaching cases I've ever seen and ever heard. I truly feel bad for him. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Like I said, sure, he poked the bear, but just because you poke the bear doesn't mean you should be put away for the rest of your life for advertising something. I don't know. If you feel like a lot of people do, maybe you want to run over there and give what you can. and help him out. He's just an everyday working guy, like anybody else. But think about that. If he gets convicted on top, not that it'll matter, he'll be in jail for a long, long time. If he gets convicted, there goes your FFL. Firearms are his life, his love, his hobby, his business. He could never have a firearm again. Uh, oh my God. It's terrible. Let alone what's his family going to do? um, they're not people of means by any stretch. They are, I don't know for sure, but like anybody else, they probably paycheck to paycheck, two little kids, and with the way the economy is now and all, I guarantee it's tough on them. I think they had a hard time getting back from Florida. They arrested them, and she's like, "How am I going to even get home?" Well, a bunch of YouTube people, John Crump included, and everyone, they've really been doing. The community has really come together to help these people, and at least get them home and keep a roof over their head and food in their stomach until hopefully something gets figured out. Because I just feel it's a miscarriage of justice. There's people that uh, deserve to, um, you know, pay the piper for whatever they did. This, to me, is not that. I don't know. It's terrible. I don't know where this world's going. I really don't. It's a terrible thing. But then again, I spent the entire weekend when looking around me going, oh my God, look at what's happened to this world. Anyhow, let us know what you think about that. I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. Let's see what you guys have to say here. Orion Fixer is here. I didn't see Orion. He's here now. Hey, Rock, he's the one that said about the critters. I didn't see it was him. Ross, that I do not remember. Maybe only stamped, but have a look. I will. Chato Cull is here. Ross 77. If anyone has made a video of a forced reset trigger or bump stock, they might want to take the video down. They will be next. Yeah. Yep. It's although there was a pretty good win today in the bump stock case. That is good for us. We'll see how that all goes. I hear, so frames and receivers, I guess we got a restraining order for now, right? If I am correct on that. Nothing on the arm brace issue yet. But there's more cases coming, a bunch. And the last judge basically said that they just didn't prove out the history portion of it well enough, or didn't lay out enough information on it, is sort of how it sounded. So who knows what'll happen there. Illinois, your assault weapon ban, a judge heard the case. That is actually a gun owner, understands firearms completely, understands how they operate, what they do, everything. Very, very well educated about firearms and the operation of, and he shoots and whatever. And he is due to issue his findings any day. I was hoping we'd have them last Friday, and I thought, well, maybe Monday. I'm hoping by the end of the week we hear something and that there's a restraining order. That way, some of our friends here will at least have some relief until this is all figured out. Like I said, amazing. Gentlemen, you still need to keep vigilant, keep making your calls, keep um, contacting your legislators and telling them how you feel on all these things. I think everybody fell back on Bruin and said, "Oh, we got it. Bruin's going to fix everything." Well, they're not listening to it. They're defying the Supreme Court. Now there was this other ruling on magazines, and you take for every inch you take, you go back half an inch, or more. So the fight's never over, never ever. You got to keep going. I hope some of you guys enjoyed the AK stuff we talked about, maybe a little education on the tea. Go watch that video. It's called The Tale of the Tea on my channel. It's interesting, at least, and something a lot of people, especially if you're a Yugo fan, you might not know. I stayed away from it tonight, guys, but I am a firm believer that we are in some very precarious times, economy-wise. Relationships with China and whatnot. This Taiwan issue could blow up at any point. Our dollar is hanging by a thread. You got housing markets, auto repo markets, banks, inflation. Your dollar has about 3 cents of its original value left. You have all these things at one time, and yet they keep pushing all of this fear and everything else on top of it. And in my opinion, it's ready to pop. And I think this economy will be extremely lucky to get out of this without major collapse. I really do. That's how I feel. So all I'm telling you, because you are truly friends of the channel, if you're here listening, and especially you guys that are here week in, week out, not telling you to go, nutso and blow all kinds of money, but make sure you're prepared. Make sure you've got a little put away, whether it's food, water, a little cash, a little precious metals, a little whatever you can do to be ready for it. Whether it's hyperinflation or whatever, it's a good idea either way. Who knows what can happen in this world? Make sure you have the ability to heat your house. Should the normal means or pipelines be cut off, or you're unable to pay for them, or whatever. Make sure you can keep yourself warm, keep yourself fed, and keep yourself sheltered. If you can, pay off your high interest credit cards. Pay off all your debt if you can. I know it's hard. Work at it. Tighten the belt a little. Get it done. Make sure you're putting away the things that are necessary in the event that you got to go camping for a little while. And I don't mean by bugging out. I mean by you might be camping in your RV without wheels. You know what I mean? Just be ready. An economic downturn, who knows what could happen and how you could handle it. The depression, I'm sure they didn't expect what happened to happen. I mean, they did, but they didn't. That'll never happen. Yeah. I don't know. I research, I read, I multiple hundreds of sources, and common sense. Look at the clues, look at what's going on. Look at what's happening in several different markets and things, and put it all together. At best case scenario, it's scary as hell. And just keep that in mind. And just make sure you're ready. That's all. An ounce of prevention. If you got the basics handled, while everyone else is running around trying to handle the basics, you're working at the next level. You follow me? When the doo-doo hits the proverbial spinning device. That's all I'm going to tell you. I would hate to see anybody here suffer any more than, tough times. So make sure you do it. And that's all I'm going to tell you. But thanks, guys. It was fun tonight. I had a good time. I really did. Last few weeks, I've been burning a candle at both ends. Not burning. I actually taken a flamethrower to it. How's that sound? Just been so busy, work and everything else. And gotta go finish a chicken coop tonight, and then maybe I can work on my stuff. And we're that close to some fun stuff. I still am bringing you that ultra lightweight AK setup I promised you. Gonna bring you a video on that. We'll show you the sandblaster when we're done with that. And maybe another video on the M70 AB2 after I get off this video and go on Gunbroker and go make a bunch of money. No, kidding. I love those guns and never get rid of them. They are great guns and last forever. If you ever run into one at a gun shop and it's not $2,300, buy it. Maybe you can get it for under $500, like the limit I had set on them. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for showing up. We appreciate it. Don't forget about the super chat down there. And let us know if you want to see any videos on anything in particular. We will bring them to you. And until then, do your part in fighting all this anti-gun legislation out there. Make a few phone calls. Write a few emails. Whatever you can. You don't think it matters. It matters substantially. Go over to CRS Firearms. Give a little over there to take care of another human being that needs some help. We've all been there at one point or another and might be there again. If anything, the two little kids and wife deserve it, right? Anyhow, thanks again, and we will see you soon. And as always, Rockford Ordnance out. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Elvis has left the building.